Well, good evening, fellow explorers. Hello, Kimberly, Casey. How are you? Jennifer, how are you, my dear?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. You've been quite the busy little bee this week, as usual. Got the kombucha brewing going on. You got all kinds of stuff. You got your phonograph going. You got
Is
it's
that
just
crazy? That's a crazy. I never know, like week to week, what it's going to be.
figs. You got figs going on.
Figs, I mean, who knew? Like people give me tips, and the figs are here, and wow, it's so much. It's awesome. Hi, everyone. Kimberly, Casey, exploring the Matrix. Oh, look at that. Nice. Very nice.
So we are gathered here today. I always want to say that. I just want to. We are gathered here today. It's been another kind of crazy week in the Matrix. Let's just put it that way. Clown world. But we're not going to go into that. It just makes what some of the things we're going to talk about seem more realistic now that you've had a taste of clown world for a couple of years.
Can you believe it has been that long, huh? Already?
It's we're on to the next new thing. And if you live in California, you got to watch out for them damn climate fraud or climate crises. They have a lot of climate crises. Plymouth Rock's been there since 1620, and they keep saying sea level's going to rise. And let's see, it hasn't risen since 1620, although Al Gore would have you believe that every 10 years he comes out and says the ice cap's going to melt and shorelines are going to flood, blah, blah, blah. But the new thing is, of course, they declared an emergency in California, and with their little forest fires, and which they always seem to have at the most opportune time for certain things and to push certain narratives. But again, going to save that for another show. But I do want to start off with this video because for those of you that don't know, some of these fires are actually created on purpose. I know, that's crazy, right? That's
Go figure.
Lady Knievel, how are you? Howdy.
Hey there.
So,
Karen has entered. Hey, Karen.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh, Karen's here.
Hi.
Uh-oh. Better be quiet now. Karen's here. But I just want to show this video. If you haven't seen it before, this is actually a crappier version of it because the video quality is bad. I can't find my other one for whatever reason. So whenever things get a little interesting and they need a new narrative, they seem to always fall back on the climate, especially in California. They want to go those damn people starting forest fires, throwing cigarettes, those damn Trump supporters, they're dropping cigarettes in the forest and doing whatever. But they actually have planes specifically designed to start forest fires. So enjoy this video.
Wow.
So next time you see a forest fire where people are claiming, well, gee, shucks, we don't know how it started. Must be climate change. Well, that's one possible way right there. So
that really makes you mad to think about. I have a cousin who he actually fights those fires and he puts his life on the line. He may not be. He's not I'm not his favorite cousin right now since I went brutal, conservative, but I still care about him. We are not friends on Facebook anymore, but still I think about he goes out there and he's the wildlife fire guy, and to think that somebody could be putting their life on the line for something that's created, that makes me mad. Wow.
Kind of like when we send people to Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff, and to go take care of the poppy fields and that kind of stuff, throwing their lives on the line. I respect anybody that's willing to risk it all in whatever profession it happens to be. And if you're willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for what you're doing, I mean, God bless you. That is, I wholeheartedly support anybody that's, and from people from working on EMTs and firefighters and soldiers, everybody. I mean, anybody that could potentially, even the guys cleaning the sewers and stuff like that, or whatever, that are getting down in the places where I wouldn't want to go. So that's all I'm going to talk about as far as that goes. It's just that's been sticking in my craw for a couple days, and I just wanted to get that out of my system. Start with a clean slate, so we can
doing that. Thanks a lot, because we hear things, but it's different when you see it like that, where you can now conceptualize, because I know we've heard of energy, like direct energy weapons. But just to think that they could simply be just throwing flames, California, I know I'm talking to the choir, but it's a very dry state. It doesn't take much to light that place up, especially in certain seasons. It's extremely dry, and the winds will kick up. So you have the Santa Ana winds, and then you have fire and dryness, and just, gosh, that makes me mad, because I do love California as much as I can roast California on its craziness. I also love California. I loved when I lived there. It was hard to live there. I had to work very hard and, wear myself out. But the times when I got a chance to enjoy California, the natural beauty of that state is beyond. Yes. I mean, it is just, I would go on hikes. I went to a church. I was part of a super mega church, and we would do all these like hikes we'd hike like 6 miles and go and wind up at the beach in Malibu. And we would just like, this was life. You could you didn't have to live this crazy LA city life. If you lived up in like Thousand Oaks, you could live this like total natural California. Right. And just to think that there is a faction of people that have ruined that state. And that state is not blue. I know you know this.
It is no way blue. No way it is blue. I'm glad you said that, because I downloaded an image that I thought represented what's going on right now in California, of all places. Let me pull it up here. I was saving it for another show, but since you brought it up, I am going to use it on this show as well.
That's right. Here. Look at that. Everybody knows Kim said California's red, right? Casey says it too. Your friend has been in Cali all her life. She said the fires are set. They have, yes. There you are, Casey. Yeah. That's right.
This image just struck me yesterday when I saw it. This cross on the beach, this flag on the beach that said "Pray for America."
Wow.
And this is in California.
There it is.
Yeah. So to me, this represents the people crying out, like, yes, stop, just stop.
That's right. I have a friend that does a lot. This could be his work. One of my friends, dear brother of mine, he worked in the trenches in the pro-life movement with me. We were the only evangelicals out there, everybody. We were with a bunch of Catholics, okay? We locked arms with Catholics and became brothers and sisters with them. And he documented for my documentary. We saw and just learned so much. But he gets out there and he's doing that kind of stuff out in California. He does beach ministry. I know people that go down into Hollywood and they minister to literal prostitutes while they're prostituting, and they help them. They help them get out of the prostitution while the pimps are right out there. I mean, they're doing work. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm just saying, like, there are some real California, like, sold out for God. Like, they are doing God's work, and not everybody can leave the state. We don't want everybody to leave the state, like, and just let it go. What? It'll be like China then?
Yes. You have, for the people that want to be there, stand and fight. Don't
standing, some of them
don't
really
leave.
Fight. Yeah.
It's right. I hate to say this, it's the people that have a weak spine that that always want to leave and flee and go to somewhere else where the grass is greener. It's like and you're right, California is physically one of the most beautiful states in the country. And especially the northern 25% of California is just absolutely amazing. Whether you're on the coast or whether you're in the the redwoods or anywhere, it's just a beautiful state. So for those that really want to be there, fight for it. Fight for it. Don't let. They're used to you just rolling over and just taking it easy and not questioning anything. Just fight. And it goes for anybody. And I'm also wondering, all the people that said they were going to leave the United States over the last 6 years or whatever, they're still here. Just FYI, I don't think any of them have ever left. Even the new ones. So
none of them.
GTFO. That's all I gotta say. GTFO.
Madonna went to England for a while, but she didn't give up her American citizenship. I know.
Right. But she went over to be a Brit a while ago, because even back then she had a disdain for the United States because she thought her little rich husband. Did she ever marry that guy? I don't know if she married that guy.
Yeah, British guy. She did. Yeah. Guy Ritchie for a little while.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to be a Brit. I've got to be classy. I've got to be like the Queen or whatever, something. I don't know. She's more like one of those guards that stand around with the big fuzzy hats that don't move or anything.
Right. Oh gosh. But she's back here where she
I know.
The worst place in the world, but she's back here enjoying her riches that she could have only made here. We're the only ones that would have made a person like a whore rich.
A star.
Yeah, a star just for being a whore. We do that here in America. You can't.
We martyr and idolize drug dealers and lifetime criminals.
Yeah.
And people that make money laying on their back and whatever. It's just like, you guys, the more perverse it is, the more of an idol you're going to become. That's all I got to say. If you're in Hollywood or in the music industry, I'm not saying that as a blanket statement, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everybody's like that. It just seems like some of these over the top people were created, like the Jersey Shore people. I'm not going to mention their names because like the crazy family that shall not be named. I'm a very no nonsense. I hate drama. I cannot, if drama is anywhere near me, I'm out of there. Whatever people, I've been known to leave places just because the drama is getting a little thick.
Yeah.
And can't stand it. Stand it.
Yep.
So
you're allergic to it, right?
I got to get my Kardashian. What the hell are those things called that back in the Middle Ages they used to use them for virgins? They made out of metal, and they had chastity belts.
Chastity belts, right?
I got to get my Kardashian chastity belt wrapped around my brain.
That's funny. I know. In this society, it's just gone, like you said, full tilt, like clown world right now. And it's just unbelievable at times.
Anything goes right now, it seems like. It just.
Yeah. Wow.
So going back to Jennifer and I seem to focus a lot on the early 1900s and pre-20th century, like 1800s. And I ran across this, and I thought this was interesting because I'd never seen this before. Video phone from 1908 and car navigation in the 1930s.
Wow.
A 1908 electronics magazine even reports that Mr. Irving Kimball is working on the transmission of images in addition to transmitting sound, calling his invention Vitaphone. Interesting. Vitaphone. The video phone already existed in the 1930s, and then we can also find picture phone among the advertising materials of the 1960s. A curiosity is I don't know if it's ITER car navigation device used in the 1930s, and this was cool to me, which was actually a mechanical structure. A paper map was placed on the box that rolled according to the speed of the car. So like this map would keep moving depending how fast you're going in your car. So like the map would just keep kind of scrolling depending on, where you were going.
Oh, wow.
And then if you needed to go to a custom place, you had to manually scroll, like you had to like turn the knobs or whatever. So I thought that was kind of interesting that these advertisements, this was like from the Bell system. Bell system introduces picture phone service. I mean, that's crazy to me that this,
you know what? I have to just tell you all, if anybody knows about the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, which I love, like I was born outside Chicago, but I, would go to Chicago all the time to visit my grandmother. And that museum was one of my favorite. It's one of the ones that they couldn't take away everything from the World's Fair. So just to give you an idea. So when you go to the exhibits, they are really like, this is the mama of science and industry museums. So they had a display of these things. So when I was little, so imagine that would be like in the 70s, me going to that museum. They had an exhibit of video phone technology there in the 70s. So I got to see that. And I thought at the time, I remember being a little girl and like, wow, that's going to be a long time before like I thought it would
come around the same time the flying cars are going to come around.
Yeah, I thought it would be like my grandchildren's time. Like, that's what I was thinking. And to think that we arrived there, it just shows you how much they're holding back the technology. Like, gosh.
And you look at the tagline, a logical extension of today's telephone service. And it's funny you should mention Chicago's World Fair. It's like we're on the same page here. We didn't talk before this, just FYI.
That's why I know that we're always flowing like that, because I'm like, whoa, I got to tell you about the Chicago Museum.
The Blam. Chicago, 1893, World's Fair, also known as World's Columbian Exposition, took place from May 1st, 1893 to October 30th, 1893 on 690 acres of land in Jackson Park in Midway, Pleasance, is that how you pronounce it? In Chicago. 46 countries participated and 27,300,000 people attended. That's like almost the United States population back then. I mean, geez.
It's crazy.
Hundreds of temporary structures, and we always talk about these temporary structures, supposedly temporary structures, that they could demolish afterwards, including massive buildings, waterways, statues, art, sidewalks, plant life, etc. The fair wasn't awarded to the city until 1890, so that gave them 3 years to construct all of this. Keep in mind, this was for a 6-month fair in 1893, and this was again from Shem Jacobs. I think I have some bigger pictures here. Where is it? Yes, here we go. Well, in my mind, it was a bigger picture.
No, but that's amazing. And see, what still stands from there is the museum. I'm saying
the Science Museum.
That's built. I think that's what it is. That still stands is the only structure, or maybe only few, from this fair, and that's the museum today.
Yes, Karen, that 690 acres is a lot of land.
That's crazy.
It is a butt ton of land.
And all the people, like you're saying, the population.
27 million. I mean, almost 27.5 million people.
That's ridiculous.
Still, I mean, that's over 6 months, but still, that's a lot of people.
And then how would they, you know what? Okay, John, you know how my brain goes. Everybody, just give me a minute. You know I'm going to be cuckoo. Okay, John, help me with something. All right, you've traveled a lot, and you know the logistics for travel. How would they have coordinated that with what form of travel? Were they the steamships? Are they telling us that all of those people were ferried back and forth across the Atlantic, and how'd they get across the country and everything, like from other cities, like to come to this fair? Did they have airports? Did they have all the airlines that we have?
Well, you know, we haven't seen many pictures, but I have a feeling that there might have been a little bit of air travel involved, like your little zeppelins or your
Yeah, it
that
had
kind of
to have,
stuff.
right? Because to do all of that, you couldn't do it by rail and steamship. Like I I
They
don't
would
know.
have you believe that it was horse and carriage and whatever
Yeah,
steamship
like your
and
Uber would pick you up and it's a horse and buggy Uber.
we'll be there in a couple months, folks. Hope you enjoy the ride.
We'll be there.
We should make it by the time the fair is almost half over. If
Because
you leave now,
they have also the weird thing about this time is they have iPads so they can you can still communicate, but you just are taking a horse and buggy. You have lots of timelines that are inter and you have to dress in Victorian clothing. Okay, so John, you would have an ascot on and you'd have your iPad, but you'd have to go by horse and buggy and
and
steam.
I'd have a big ass hat. I would have like one of the tallest top hats ever made. I would look like Dr. Seuss.
Wouldn't you love it? It would be fun.
Well, look, Mr. Hogston is rolling up in his carriage. Look at that dumb hat. How can he wear a hat like that? That will never be popular.
That would be funny, John. I can see you right now. Wait, I have to find this picture, everybody. I saw a person in an old photograph that looks like John. So we have to make sure.
Oh, you found it? You found it?
No, this is going to take some time because I have a whole ton of pictures that I didn't label them. So it's got to be an accidental kind of thing. But John, we have to make sure John is not time traveling.
I seem to keep popping up through history. People keep telling me I saw this old picture from blah, 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 Civil War. John? I saw this picture from the Revolutionary War. I saw this picture from blah, blah, blah. I saw this moonshine picture.
Told me that now I have people tell me that I look like everybody. I look like everybody. I look like everybody. But I've never had somebody tell me that they've seen me in old pictures. That is another level, John. And I saw John in a picture from the 1800s. So I think he has some splaining to do, right, everybody?
And I will say, when I was younger and I was kind of into the crystals and the readings and the kind of the occult stuff, and I think a lot of us have had that background at one point, or we've kind of dabbled in that. I did have this lady who was doing a reading for me, and this was probably back in 84, 85. I just graduated in 84, so it was right around that time. And this lady, like, somebody said, you have to go see this lady. She is the best, blah, blah, blah. You know how people are. They just you got to go talk to her. You got to see her. Mm-hmm. I had the weirdest experience in my life, and I will never forget it. It stuck with me from that day because everybody was afraid of this lady. Like, she was like this powerful, like they were just like, you can't make eye contact with her or something. Like, that's how afraid they were of this woman. Wow. So I go in there, and it's a crystal shop, and they've got incense and everything else, and and quartz crystals and that kind of stuff. And it was kind of a head shop / hippie / whatever, So it was like a madam something or other. There's like beads in the back that you have to go through, like, to get to like her room back there, So I go back there. I was expecting like the lights to flash and everything, like a seance kind of thing,
Right, yeah.
And have like a gypsy accent, like some kind of weird Transylvanian, welcome, kind of thing. But no, she had like a southern drawl, it's
wow. Okay.
Turns out she was from like West Virginia or something like that. But anyway, so I go in there. Mm-hmm. Of course, I've got like my Michael Jackson. You remember that black jacket? It was like made of fabric and had the little buttons on the shoulders, like little flap things that.
Yeah.
Like his jumpsuit jacket, his zoot suit, or parachute pants kind of jacket,
Yes. Uh-huh.
I remember I was wearing that because I wore that thing everywhere. So I remember wearing that. I took it off, went in there, and she goes, "Hun, why don't you take a seat?" So And that kind of threw me. That was the Southern drawl, like, hun, why don't you have a seat?
I love it.
Okay. Somebody from my neck of the woods. Okay, let's let the games begin. And
this is great.
So she was very aloof at first. Like she was like trying to gauge me in some way. Like she kept looking at me, but she didn't say anything. And she was like, people like nervous fiddle with stuff. Like she was fiddling around with cards and papers and stuff like that. Like she was looking for something.
Oh.
I could tell she was nervous. This lady was nervous.
Wow.
And so I said, so what do I do anything? Do you say anything? Or, I mean, how does this work? I'd never done this before, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so quiet it seemed like an eternity. I'm sure it was only a couple minutes, but so then she's like, do you mind if I touch your hand? She goes, I don't want to see your palm. I just want to physically touch your skin. So she takes I give her my hand. She takes my hand and she literally started crying. Like I had never seen somebody bawl like this in public in front of me. It freaked me out.
Wow.
I mean, it freaked me out big time.
Yeah.
So I jerked my hand back. I was like, I thought something was wrong with me or something. Like I was going to die. Like she's going to say, well, you only got like 10 minutes to live or something like that.
Oh, no, right. Yeah. You don't know. Yeah.
But she looked at me like with these hollow, like she had seen something that scared the crap out of her. And she goes, I'll be back in a minute. I have to collect myself. I'll be back in a minute. So she goes behind these other curtains or whatever. And then she comes back with tissue and everything.
Yeah.
And she goes, before I do anything or before I say anything, I don't want you to think that something's wrong with you or whatever. You took me by surprise. These are her words. They're not my words.
Right.
You're one of the oldest souls I've ever encountered.
Oh.
And she goes, you have a lot of baggage. You have a lot of baggage that I was not expecting, basically, kind of thing.
Wow. Oh,
and it freaked me out. And she goes, I actually felt sorry for you, like in a way, like she was like weeping for me, like she was like that I had to carry this in some way, like I had. So anyway, that whole thing went on, and she was actually very good. She was right on about a lot of stuff, and but for my whole life, that stuck with me. That happened, like that.
Yeah, definitely.
She actually said those words, like those words actually came out of her mouth, and ever since then, when I was a kid, I always had these recurring dreams and stuff, and they were always about like ancient Egypt or like the Middle East and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So I always thought, well, if I had a past life, I guarantee I lived in the Middle East or somewhere in that in that region. So when I got to college, those dreams started kind of subsiding, but it to this day, it still kind of haunts me what she said. And it kind of, when you start talking about the pictures, the old pictures and the doppelgangers and stuff like that, I'm like, oh man.
Oh no, we're confirming some things. Like, I didn't know this now. This is
making the hair started standing up on the back of my neck. I'm like, oh man.
Oh my gosh. You see how jokes you be joking, and it's like it's low key true stuff. But no, I have to find this picture of John from the 1800s that I saw. It was a John-ish person, okay? And it really freaked me out.
When I actually still talked to him 20 years ago, when we were kids, he told me, he looked at a picture of Abraham Lincoln. He kept looking at me. He's like, you look a lot like Abraham Lincoln. He kept like looking back and forth. And I'm like, no, I don't. That's just shut up. It's like, you have to understand, me and my brother are exact opposites. Really? He's always been in trouble with the law. And he's just a total, pardon my French, asshole. He hates people.
Wow.
And but I'm not going to get into that because that'll screw me up. I don't want to talk about him. But anyway,
I totally
see, Karen says, well, now that she said you wanted oldest soul she had ever encountered, maybe that's why people see pictures of you from the past.
Whoa, right, Karen? Like, that's really freaking. I'm gonna be thinking about this now, and I gotta find this picture.
Great. I thought I was gonna get a good night's sleep tonight too. But.
Oh no. Sorry. We never know where this conversation.
I know. I am totally messing with you guys. I'm just like
very organic how it all unfolds.
This. I mean, look at that size of that building.
Can you
For
imagine?
the love of God, look at that thing.
Is the museum today in Chicago.
It says manufacturers and liberal arts building, whatever that means, on the bottom of the picture anyway. Something about liberal arts.
If it isn't that building, I have to see what the modern picture of, but the building that stands today as the Science and Technology Museum is so massive. So I don't know if that's the actual, but it is like, I like museums a lot. I really do. Do you
Science and Industry Museum or just Science Museum?
Museum of Science and Industry. Like, I love museums. Are you guys museum people? Because I really love museums.
I do too. Yeah, it does kind of look like it.
Yeah. So that was one of their like structures for the World's Fair.
Dang.
Isn't that really like it's so big? Like, that's just one angle.
It's like the Roman, like the Colosseum, the Parthenon, and everything else kind of put together. It's like that's crazy how big that.
And what's inside? How it's a museum. If you're a nerdy kid, like, this is Nerdville. This is like going to Disney for the nerds. Okay, so I would go for 2 days when I would be visiting my grandma Stormy in Chicago. I would.
Is that her name? Is that her real name?
That was her real name was Leola, but her name was Stormy. Her professional name was Stormy.
That's an awesome name. I haven't heard that name in a while. But Leola reminds me, my grandmother's name was Lola, not Leola. Wow, really? Lola. There was
Yeah, those were the names that people had then. But yeah, Stormy, that became, I think it might have been her alter ego, because she hung out with like Black Hollywood back then. Like, she was like with Lena Horne. You know, if you know about Lena Horne, that was my grandmother's friend. So
nice.
One of these kind of people.
Lena Horne was not a B-lister. She was an A-lister.
Yeah. That was my grandmom's client. My grandma did. She was a beauty. She had a real big beauty parlor in Chicago. So Lena Horne, whenever she was in town, she would get her hair done by my grandma. So that was the kind of crew that she was a part of. Just weird.
I mean, that would be like a more modern equivalent of like back in the 80s. She was really popular, but she got beat up by her husband. What the heck was her name?
Oh yeah, Halle Berry, right? Halle.
Well, not Halle Berry, but
somebody else got beat up.
Who sung "We Don't Need Another Hero" for the Mad Max movie?
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
Yes, Tina Turner. Yeah, guess what? It turns out that story might not be true, everybody. That
the Ike Turner thing, you mean?
Yes, it turns out that it might not be true. She might be the bad person, and he
really.
Yeah, I swear. I heard somebody
wow.
lay out, it was like a conspiracy kind of channel, Truther, and they laid out a whole case that you would go, oh my gosh, she was the bad guy and he was the good guy. I swear, that's how the media, that's how powerful the media is. They planted stories to make him look like he was abusive.
I grew up thinking Ike Turner was like the worst person in the world.
I did too. We all did. But I'm telling you, it was a long time ago. I watched this. It was like a documentary. A truther had uncovered that Ike was like, it was just a whole character assassination, like how they could do in Hollywood. If they don't like you, they could plant stories. They could do anything, because it's all media driven and image driven. So they could literally make a bad person look good and a good person look bad.
Yes,
that's how powerful. Like I still don't see like how wicked it. It always astounds me when I hear something new.
Yeah, God forbid you get on their bad side or don't follow a particular narrative. They do a good job of, I can't remember who said it, but a lot of people over time have said something to that effect, that, the media can demonize the good guys and make the bad guys look like heroes. And
yeah. Malcolm X said that. He was one person that.
Yes, he was one person that said that. There was somebody else that said it too. But he's probably the most famous one.
Yeah. And you could see it's like that. Just to imagine, like, for a lot of you, what I said would be the first time you heard that maybe Ike Turner wasn't abusive. Like, that's almost like, whoa, wait a minute.
Because that almost gives, for whatever reason, that almost gives me a relief knowing that you just said that, for whatever reason, because everything that I saw because I was really, and still am, into music and music history and that kind of stuff. I love music, period. I just absolutely love all genres. Well, I'm not gonna say all genres, most genres of music. And I'm such an audiophile. Like when I listen, like I can place exactly where I was the first time I heard something, or what I was thinking, or what I was feeling. And I always, when I heard Ike and Tina Turner, like their music together when they were performing together,
right?
Very talented, very, very, very talented couple.
Very.
And Ike seemed like he was just like, he was very charismatic. Like he was just like,
exactly,
he could carry any of those songs and just carry the crowd, just like he had everybody going.
That's right.
Just like Chuck Berry. That's how I kind of felt about Chuck Berry as well. Just kind of
a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them. And then what you see is when the music industry really gets exposed, like to the normies and even to us, because I don't think we really understand the depth of the evil that they have perpetrated on artists. So a lot of these people, like who you bring up, they have been robbed. They've been put in definite slave contracts, like Britney Spears. Like that is the level of slavery that we should all be caring about, that this is happening to Americans. Our fellow people are literally walking around. They are supposedly rich, but they're living like, the conditions are so inhumane. And that is a part of slavery. Slavery doesn't look the same. It's levels to it and different types of slavery. But when you think about Ike Turner and the talents that you bring up, his charisma, Ike Turner, according to the narrative that I've heard, the counter narrative is he didn't play the game. He didn't play the game. He was more independent. He wasn't a slave to a music company. So he was trying to retain more of his autonomy as a creative. So when you are in that music industry of Hollywood and everything, entertainment, there is a small group of people that literally are the devil, and they will do anything. And if someone doesn't play, they will come in through the person's wife. Yes. And it's just like the Garden of Eden. Women, come on, we are very vulnerable to the lure of Satan, Lucifer. And I hate to be somebody who rains on the parade of like, girl power, but I'm just saying we are more vulnerable. And, they came in to their marriage and family through Tina Turner. And then they create a narrative that she's now a victim of abuse. Whereas they're trying to get Ike to fall under control. And he doesn't do it. And look, now we may be facing the possibility that we did not know the truth about Ike and Tina Turner, right? That's really deep. But these are the kind of narratives that are going to actually start to, but it's going to expose more of the deep state that we talk about. This is a big arm of their operation is, it feeds into everything,
It's funny that you bring up Britney Spears, because I ran across this yesterday, and how if you've been part of this, you kind of know what's been going on with her conservancy and all this other stuff. But I saw this yesterday, and it's funny you should bring this up. Well, it's not funny. It's the whole synchronicity thing.
It is.
And my mind just remembers these things too, where I can remember where I saw it.
Yep.
So it was on Telegram. It's from Liz Crokin. If you guys don't follow Liz does an amazing job with this kind of stuff. Two legends, one stage, one is dead. A man named Michael Caine was implicated in Michael Jackson's murder. That same Michael Caine is now in control of all of Britney Spears' money, according to court records. So you have that same kind of thing going on. You got this guy named Michael Caine implicated in Michael Jackson's murder. Implicated. I mean, is that not arrested?
Yeah, they're still in like a little pond swamp of people, and they go from, that's a small little incestuous group out there. So you have also the Kardashians are involved with Britney Spears too. You're going to hear some there where Kim Kardashian hid, I think it was 60 million or more dollars of Britney Spears that was taken away from her because of these conservatorship like things. So $60 million taken from this woman. It was put in an offshore account. And it ties into all the stuff we heard about. Remember the Panama Papers? Yes. And how all that stuff was linking all the offshore stuff. So this actually links up with the Panama Papers. So her money is taken offshore, and then it's sent back into America into Kim Kardashian's bank account. Now, I could go into more about these entanglements, but I want to say that I really care about what has happened to these children that have come through Disney. And Britney Spears is I do not take pleasure or laugh at her downfall. It breaks my heart to look at it because she is a slave, like literally a slave. She's in her home. She has been working since she was a little girl, a mule for her family, for record executives and people. And she has not had a time to ever be herself and rest and just do what she wants. I heard that like during the lockdown, they said she'd be in the house and she would want to order maybe sushi. And she's got all these people in her house that are her staff. And they would tell her like, no, like you had sushi, you're having too much sushi, it's too expensive. Like this woman could have sushi 5-6 times a day, every day, and it still wouldn't put a dent in how much money she's made. But she has to get permission to spend her own money. And she would want to get like her nails done and things like that. This is before it was a hard lockdown stuff, but this is her normal life without a lockdown. She has to get permission to go get her nails done. And they would tell her no. They would actually tell this woman no. And she's looking at them and they all have their nails done. So that makes me mad. Like it's happening to me. Like I want to go like him. Like, look, Britney Spears needs to have a friend like me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
She would have needed to have a friend like me around. Sometimes you need certain kind of friends that'll be like, wait a minute, girl, wait. What did they do? They told you couldn't get, wait a minute, I'm calling, okay? Because I called them. What are you talking about? She can't get her nails done.
You don't want me to come over there.
Yeah, you don't want me to come over there and tell you what she has worked her. I would tell them off. Do you hear me?
If I'm gonna come up from Georgia and smack you with a fig tree, I'm gonna do it. But I'm gonna be pissed because you made me come up from Georgia and smack you with a fig tree.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, these people need real advocates, you know? And one of the things that's happening is the exposure and just all the connections. Like, can you imagine?
I mean, it's that could be a whole show by itself just on her. But I mean, and you look at like other like power couples too, like the Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston thing, you know, and I'm sure there's more to that story than what
it is.
What TMZ's got to say about it, and because we know TMZ is such lovely reporting, and but anyway. There's just a lot is coming out, which is good.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it should piss people off. it should piss you off that all this stuff was
Yep.
happening because they relied on the fact that you didn't care, or that you weren't going to pay attention, or that weren't going to question anything.
That's right. Yeah.
So
their time for anger is coming up. We've gone through these seasons. That's why it's going to be imperative that a lot of us, you know, are willing to help people through their time of anger, because if you aren't angry, you are not paying attention for sure, because this society is so demoralizing. Just going to the supermarket can be demoralizing. You know what I mean? Reading the labels, to me, I got exhausted. I was like, okay, I feel like I'm in a war right now. I've gotten what I need. I got to get out of here before I go cuckoo and go postal.
I am totally the same way. And most of the time, like, I'll go in and there'll be like one person wearing a mask, and their kid will be wearing a mask too, like this 5-year-old or whatever. And they're the only one in the whole place. And they don't think it's odd that nobody else is wearing a mask or whatever. And I literally, we should file a lawsuit for the mask manufacturers and the people that made these mandates, because every time I see a mask now, it's like having PTSD.
No, yeah, for me too. It makes me so upset to see it, and it's so prevalent. I don't know about, like, do you see? I see a lot where I live. A lot.
It's kind of depends on the area.
Yeah.
Like the closer you get to Cleveland proper, you know, where they've taken advantage of the Black community, and they literally have billboards all over the place still about COVID stuff and vaccinations and whatever narrative Cleveland's trying to spin downtown and on the east side over there. And I'm dreading, I'm trying to find a new doctor. I want to find like a common sense doctor, one that actually is kind of the same mindset that I am, kind of thing, or we are.
Yeah.
But it's not like there's a directory of them. Like you just can't like look on a list, like, you know, because I have to go like every 6 months so that I can pay $100 and some just for them to listen to me breathe and tell me I'm doing a good job with my blood pressure, blah, 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 just to be able to get my medication renewed every, 6 months or whatever. And I'm dreading it because they're still mandating masks, and they if you don't have one, they will make you wear one. And the guy pushes all the vaccines, everything from shingles to the COVID vaccine to whatever, flu shot. He is just like, literally, I feel like I'm in a South Park episode. I mean, it's just
like he has patches of companies, Pfizer. He should have
exactly. And it's hard for me to get out of there without the urge to just want to smack him upside the head.
I know.
I just want to get my medication. I just want to get my medication renewed. That's all I want. I don't want to, I don't.
It's so sickening. No, I hate that. And that's my profession. And I hate it. Like, because he's like a total 304 for the pharmaceutical, medical, industrial complex. It's like, if anybody is still 304ing for that industry after all that has been exposed since 2020, that means these people are hardcore Nazis. I'm sorry. I'm calling it what it is. They're Nazis.
And I gotta find somebody that's my age or older. Like that's old school, like where the pharmaceutical companies haven't got their claws into them and they just make their own decisions about stuff, like
you can go find one that they didn't kill off in 2020, Sorry.
Kimberly, I did try to find a holistic
they killed
doctor.
Them off, Kimberly. They remember they've killed a whole slew.
Do you know who Dr. Tenpenny is? Sherry Tenpenny.
Yeah, she's great.
She's literally, her office is literally 3 miles from my house.
Oh, wow. Really?
But I can't get in. I can't get in there. I can't even get a return call from there. So.
Oh yeah, she travels a lot. I mean,
just their office, their homeopathic office, because she has a practice 3 miles from here.
That's nice. Wow.
And but nobody will return my call, so I guess I won't be going there.
That's the thing. It was so many used to have more choices, but I'm not kidding. They have met with very mysterious ends, a lot of them. And that was like when Obama was in office, there was an all-out war against homeopathic doctors. They were just mysteriously unaliving themselves.
I know. And so if any of you watching right now or in the future live in Northern Ohio, or somebody that lives in Northern Ohio, not in Cleveland proper, I'm in a southern suburb of Cleveland. I need to find another doctor. I need to find somebody that just has a great bedside manner, loves to chat, loves to crack jokes, old school, get to the point, and has common sense.
You'll
if you know anybody like that, put it in the chat or put it in the comments.
Yep, you're gonna find them. This is how it's gonna start happening, where you're gonna link up with that like-minded doctor that you're looking for. This is how it happens, and it's gonna seem like you bump into it. It's just gonna happen, and that's how God is moving right now, because there are a lot of doctors that have either they awaken to it all, and they're mad, and they're going through their mad season. Can you imagine having a doctor who's in their mad season? That'd be like a base doctor. He's like watching all the truther videos. And he's so excited because he's new to it. So he's asking you, John, about all of it.
Yeah. Like,
can you imagine that? He'll be like,
you're a healthy guy. You don't need to come back. But
exactly. He'll say,
let's call in and just call in for your whatever.
Let's go fishing, John.
Right. Something. Yeah.
He'll say, let's go to the tractor store and get some horse paste.
I'll help you work on your car.
It'll be like that. So then all you need is and he'll say, let's just get you off all this stuff. You're fine. It's no big
It's like, I don't need a weed card or anything. I'm just trying to get my blood pressure medication filled,
We're going to get you on some stuff. You'll be good. We're going to wean you off of all the pharmaceuticals. He'll be like, hey, guess what, John? I got an organic farm here. I've been doing this for years. Me and Dave Chappelle.
Me and Tyrone Biggums.
I grow some hemp and all kinds of stuff.
You don't got any more of that blood pressure medicine over there?
You're gonna find just the kind of crew. We're all gonna start connecting with our states. See, this is the thing I'm excited about. Like states becoming more local, where everything just like you do business with each other, food, everything. And Ohio is an amazing state. We just have to get that lizard, what's his name, out of there, Les Wexner. We got to get Les Wexner the heck out of Ohio. Such a lizard.
We've got a few lizards here, but Max Miller won his primary, which he's in my area, which is, thank God that happened. We have a rhino governor, and I mean, typically we're a red state. Even with the cheating, we're a red state.
That's good.
I know the snowflakes don't want to hear that in Ohio, so God bless you. We have what do I want to say? I just want to tread lightly here. Anyway, there's a lot of good people. I'm not going to say that, I kind of envision like when you like all the old movies and stuff where people would be hanging out at the barbershop. Like he had, even if they didn't need a haircut, they were sitting out on, reading the paper or doing whatever. And they were talking to the barbers and they were like, whatever, like remember even all the way back to like Mayberry, whenever you had that barber, you'd always have somebody sitting out on the bench out front of the barbershop, and they would talk to whoever's going in and out of the barbershop. And you had people that cared. You had, the doctors knew the townspeople, the people, lived in the area or whatever. They knew their families because they delivered their kids or whatever, it was just like, so you kind of knew their history from the time they were born. And, no, Les Nessman was not, I don't think it was the WKRP. That was Les.
I love that show, Lady Knievel, WKRP.
Yeah, Les Nessman, but not Les Wexner, but yes, Les Nessman.
Oh, that's interesting that it's a similar sounding. Oh, interesting. Yes. Yeah, look at that.
But I've been, speaking of uncovering things and trying to find things. So anyway, I'm totally serious about that. If you Just put it in the comments if you know anybody.
Yeah, please. I know
I
you're going to find it. I know it, John. I have a feeling you're going to bump it. It's
I have a feeling I'm going to be
accidentally. It's just all going to just come together, and you're going to find them.
And it pisses me off because originally, however many years ago that I started going to this place, I went to go see a specific doctor, and they wouldn't let me see this doctor. And since then, I've never actually seen a doctor. It's always been a nurse practitioner.
Right.
Always. Never been a doctor.
Now it got that way because of how HMO. It just, when we started going that way, I watched the slow swirl of the quality just go down, and
like the toilet.
Yeah,
slow swirl of the toilet.
Slow swirled. And I mean, now when I look back in retrospect, because I was upset about things, and I would be the nurse that would say things like, I'm the nurse that I don't care if the CEO comes around and everybody's like, oh, the CEO, and I'm like, I don't care.
You were
and
like Flo from Diner. You remember Flo from Diner?
Yeah, like kiss my grits, Flo.
Yeah, exactly.
I would be like, but I say it in a like nerdy way, like the CEO comes by with a basket of like potato chips, and he's got that big cheesy politician smile, and he comes over, hey, young lady, how you doing? Trying to butter me up, and I say, oh, you know what? Hi. I'd rather see you take the effort that you did with the potato chips and all the snacks and sugary snacks, that maybe you pay the CNAs more money. And everybody, like the whole room, like the oxygen leaves, right? Because they're like, oh my God, she said that to the CEO.
I'm going to have to work extra hours because they're going to fire Jen. That's what they're thinking. They didn't want to work any extra hours.
But I couldn't help it, because I was like, I get upset because they don't pay the CNNs enough. They work so hard. And I'm like, you're bringing all these snacks all the time. They think that's boosting morale. I'm trying to tell them, why don't you not bring the snacks? Because I'm looking at everybody and they're getting fatter and fatter. And I'm the nurse that says it. Hey, everybody, lay off the sugary Starbucks, because they got Starbucks in the lobby of a hospital with McDonald's. Okay. So I'm the nurse that says stuff about it, and I'm like not popular. Okay. So sorry.
But like, so I ran for whatever reason. Every week it seems like a different thing crops up. So speaking of uncovering things, I'm going to show you a few pictures, and they're from different areas, and it has to do with uncovering or finding things. And this one, and I agree with this, the past wants to be revealed. Roman mosaic found last year on the Croatian island of Hvar. If you look again, this is like, you can see like something, it's built on top of whatever it is, like this road or street or whatever this alley is, these buildings, under this beautiful Roman mosaic. So you have this one in Croatia that was discovered.
Amazing.
And this is the same one. Just a bigger picture.
That is so amazing. Look at that. The detail.
And if look at this, like the substrate there, like just layers of just rock and dirt, Unreal. And then it looks like sand underneath that.
Yeah. So it preserved it probably with the softer sand. Like,
that's like, can you imagine finding that? Like,
no, that's really amazing to think about that. How
in Croatia,
sand, and I'm thinking it's packed in such, it's almost like packing with bubble wrap.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the layers.
Roman mosaic in Croatia, or where the Croatia would be now.
Yeah. Yeah. They kept telling us that Rome is just this little place, when now we see like it's all the same. This is the same culture throughout. These are the Egyptians. This is all these cultures. They've been dividing the names and renaming them.
Shows you how vast their empire was, or whatever time flip, compression, whatever. And we're going to talk about, at some point,
that's crazy,
time, and we're going to talk about chronology, because the gentleman that was incarcerated, I would consider him, or I think he considers himself, a chronologist.
Yeah. Yes.
So we're going to talk about chronology here in a minute. And these people have figured out an ingenious way, and I think it's this kind of what this other gentleman's doing, of documenting things. I just thought it was really interesting. But I'm going to do these mosaics here.
Super interesting.
So this one is another mosaic from the late 3rd, early 4th century in Merida, however you pronounce it, Merida, Spain. So Croatia, now Spain. And these mosaics look very similar. They look very similar.
And you know, that's another thing I've been questioning, John, is Spain and Rome are beginning to look like they're almost the same in my eye. Like Spain is up there, France, Spain, Rome. It's something about it. They're not as different. And I'm just saying that something
but look at where they're finding these. They're finding these under roads. Yeah. So what are these mosaics? Were they roads themselves? Were they like the floors of bathhouses, or what were they? I mean, what were these mosaics and why were they on the ground? So were they traveled on? That's what I want to know.
Think so. From what I've my research, it seems that whenever mosaics are uncovered, like I noticed that they say that they're like what you said, they're public places like bathhouses usually, or homes, like somebody important, like a noble person's home. And this would be like the way that the interiors of some of those homes were with the, like if you had that now, like they call it, Tuscany and all those names they call it now. But that's basically, that's their tile floor with interior more so than they wouldn't have had vehicles going over because of the work, like the paint, it would probably wear off if they let vehicles.
Yeah. Well, it's nice though, the Italian tile's been around that long. Because everybody always talks about, well, I've got Italian tile. It's like a big deal. I've got Italian tile in my foyer, not foyer, foyer.
Foyer. You have to be real fancy.
Foyer.
Yeah. Exactly. The mosaics. It's so beautiful. But again, now we're seeing it's not just.
And it's all coming out around the same time. These mosaics are being found everywhere.
Exactly.
3 new mosaics were recently discovered in the ancient Greek city of Zeugma, or Zug, however you pronounce that, which is located in the present-day province of Gaziantep, however you pronounce that. Jeez. In southern Turkey, the incredibly well-preserved mosaics date back to 2nd century BC. Excavations at whatever this place is started in 2007 and continued to this day. Up until 2000, the ancient city was completely submerged underwater until a project to excavate the area received funding from a number of sources. There are still many areas of whatever the city is, we'll call it Z, a city once home to nearly 80,000 inhabitants, 25 houses still underwater. So these images are crazy. These things are beautiful.
And I don't think they accidentally, I think they know where these things are, because if they have the chronology, like you said, and they start knowing the right maps and timelines, they can go with precision and find exact things that, you know what I'm saying? They have the history books to know where things are. And they knew that these floods happened in specific places. It wasn't I don't know if it was a sea level thing that certain flooding happened and hit certain, you know what I mean? Countries.
I think there was multiple kinds of flooding in the past. I think there was the biblical proportion kind of flooding. Okay. And I believe there was the mud flooding, and then the coastal type flooding, whether it was from a tsunami or from other things, whatever it was. But there's just so much evidence of just flooding period at different times.
Yeah. It just makes everything about flooding I've read something from this new climate change crap that they're pushing now, this emergency, and they use the terminology flooding a lot. It's like
Mhm.
throughout a lot of their narratives, like all of their different articles that they posted up so far on their climate change like information thing, and they use that term a lot. Flood, flood,
Yes.
flood.
Yes, Karen. A lot of these places are submerged underwater, like a couple of our lakes here in North America are literal towns that they flooded out. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, and I want to talk about that, Karen, like Lake Lanier. So it's Georgia again. There's something going on with this state, John. Like Georgia is some I don't know what it is
Yeah,
about.
you guys got something going on over there.
Yeah, right. A
Um,
portal or something to hell.
I found this mosaic interesting
Oh yeah. What's
because of this thing right here, this serpent thing, right? Whatever this is.
Yeah, it looks like he
These
has
little wings on the forehead, horns.
It looks like lobster tails on his horns, right? Doesn't it look like a lobster, like red
Yeah,
lobster?
exactly. Like
Red
crabby butt.
lobster. Hey, red lobster, you can do this for your new logo. He's
Yeah, there
lobster
you go.
lobster guy.
You could have Poseidon with lobster horns or whatever, and a blank staring sea maiden, whatever that is there.
Yeah, that'd be a funny meme, John. You could find something.
Yeah,
Really
it would, because they're both. This looks like Rocky, like Sylvester Stallone.
It does. You're right. It does look like John Travolta.
Adrian, and that's like this is like their oldest picture of Rocky Balboa and Adrian.
Oh, wait, Sylvester Stallone. But no, it looks like a mix of Sylvester and John Travolta. And she looks like Jennifer Aniston, doesn't she?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Or Adele.
Oh my God! If you and I worked on memes, it would be.
I've got some funny ones tonight, folks. Just so I might pop one in here and there.
Oh, wow.
But look how far down these things are. How far how buried they are.
That's amazing. Look at that. Wow. That's beautiful. I love tiles. Oh my God.
I appreciate that kind. That's got to be exhaustive work, because from what I remember, a lot of times the people that made the tile, like and fired the tile and stuff like that, were the same ones that laid the tile. Like they were the same person. Like there wasn't a separate person that just made the tiles and fired them and colored them and that kind of stuff. And then somebody else just assembled them. I think from what I remember, it was the same person in a lot of cases.
Oh, wow. Karen, are you serious?
What'd you say?
He said that Stone Mountain allegedly was pyramids. They cut off the top.
Actually, are you talking about in North Georgia, near the like Roswell and Marietta and stuff like that?
It's kind of in the other direction, Stone Mountain. I know where you're talking about, John. It's like closer when you go towards like Lithonia, over in that part, southwest kind of.
But yes, Karen, that is absolutely true. That is
you've heard this, John?
Yeah, that is a big speculation about that. But I have, of course, in one of my folders somewhere, an unlabeled picture and so maybe we'll have to talk about that. Because there's a lot of pyramids in the United States that aren't obvious pyramids.
Yeah, can we do that? Because my family, we spend a lot of time at Stone Mountain. I've been there since little girl. Like my dad loves Stone Mountain because they have laser shows, and we go like,
laser shows, really?
Yeah, laser shows at night, and we're like. We bring dinner and lunch and it's like so much to do. You can go take the, sky tram up to the top. And I mean, I want to know, this is my first time, Karen, literally hearing this. Like, John, I did not know this. This is like, I do now. Okay, you guys are putting me right down another. Oh my God.
We're going to do like an American pyramids kind of thing. at some point.
Gosh, you guys. Okay, I'm sorry. That messed me up for a minute. I'm still
Oh
with
no,
you.
hey.
I just want to write something. I need to find my book. I'm always writing notes. But
That's right.
that's amazing. I swear I've heard so many conspiracies. That's the first one. First time I've heard that.
Especially when it's your own backyard.
Yeah, that's what the thing about it. If you all knew just how much my dad loved Stone Mountain, like it figures now. Interesting. Everything's making more sense.
Uh-huh. There's another picture of Sly Stone on his little chariot. Seahorse.
That
Seahorse
chariot
thing.
looks like a motorcycle. Doesn't look like a scooter. Like
Yeah, it does. With this where the paint's missing here, it does make it look like it's got wheels or something, or like yeah. And then you see this hoof of the horse over here, and then the horse behind it.
Wow.
But it's weird because behind it here almost looks like, I don't know if that's supposed to be waves or scales or what, but it's got these pointed things here behind them. But
oh yeah, you know what? I just got a crazy thought. You know how I know allegory is used a lot in this so-called mythology, but I'm just thinking, what if they were using powerful scooters like what I'm looking at right now? You can think of those really nice Italian scooters, but what if they had some that did fly and stuff, and they're just using allegorical horses to denote power? Like, horsepower. I'm just wondering, like, if they're just trolling us with these artistic renderings and they were really flying the heck around and doing some high level transporting. I don't know. It's just me. Is it me? Am I thinking?
No, I 100% agree with that, because especially in India, in Middle East, Turkey and, those areas, Afghanistan, they talk a lot about flying carpets. They talk about a lot of flying vehicles. They just, in some cases, they called them flying carpets for lack of understanding. Like they didn't have anything to relate it to, so it was called a flying carpet, or a flaming chariot, or like it was like literal to them. If you were riding in it, it was a chariot, regardless of what it looked like. It was a chariot.
Yeah, just we've never unpacked what is a chariot. Like, even in those gospel songs where they would sing "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," like, what about that even?
I don't know. Karen says there's a lot of energy and frequencies going on in those mountains in Georgia.
Wow. I am really now looking at the state of Georgia in a different way. This place is, you think about the grindstones were here, the coffins, the FEMA coffins. It's like, what's going on, Georgia? You got the CDC. Like, everybody should be like a tinfoil conspiracy theorist here in Georgia. Like,
just for no reason. They had hundreds of thousands of these coffins, these portable coffins, or these emergency coffins out in this field somewhere, and I can't remember where it was.
Outside
just because
CDC renting it, like, it's
just because.
We
like these. We can't have enough of them. We just like them.
Weird, right? This is the weirdest thing. And like where I am, they have all these hunting, plantations that, like, Les Wexner and what's the guy from See It, Ted Turner they got all these ranches all around here, like these kind of guys, and they just have hunting parties and hunting. They're really big into hunting quail down here. Like, this is where
quail.
Dick Cheney shot his friend on,
right.
Wherever it was down like all around. These people are crazy.
Can you imagine getting shot because of quail? Come on, pick a bigger bird or something. Jeez. Quail's like the size of a chick. It's like, something a little more sporting, like a pterodactyl or something. It's like quail. Come on.
It's really like we have not unpacked how deep the rabbit hole here in Georgia, because if the quail are just a cover and it's not just quail, it's something much more sinister than quail. John
Yeah.
Deere. That was your chariot. See that? I love that. A John Deere tractor.
This is like a Pinto could be a chariot.
There.
I don't know if you're referring to the car or the horse.
A Pinto, that is right. Oh wow, that was a blast from the oh wow.
Like a gremlin or a pacer could be a chariot. So speaking of we're going to talk about giants again, and then we're going to go to the chronology thing and then talk a little bit about batteries. But as a little interlude here, I'm going to throw this in there for those of you that have spying devices in your house. Listen to what this lady asks this thing twice. And this was recently, very recently. I'm not going to say anything.
I can't explain this, but you tell me. Hey, Alexa, where did Joe Biden fall off his cycle?
Joe Biden died in National Naval Medical Center.
What? Alexa, where did Joe Biden fall off his bicycle?
Joe Biden died in National Naval Medical Center.
Knew it was a clone.
Oh my gosh. Have you tried it? Do you have anybody have Alexa? I don't
have Alexa. We've got a couple other spying devices like Google, like those Google Dots or whatever those.
Yeah. But the Alexa is kind of funny because I listened to somebody who she like does content talking to Alexa sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's really fun, like to watch this. Like really, really fun. Like people that do that, wow, this is it.
Yep.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa.
So anybody that's followed this show for any length of time know that Jennifer and I we like our giants. We like talking about giants, and and you all know there's enough evidence to show that giants existed. Like if we were to go to a court of law, we would have enough circumstantial evidence to get a conviction that giants existed. So I ran across this the other day. Zhan, Z-H-A-N, was born in Fuzhou. What is with all these names? Seriously, what is with all these names? Was born in Fuzhou, Fujian province in the 1840s. Though reports of the year vary from 1841 to 1847, his height was claimed to be over 8 feet 3 inches. He left China in 1865 to travel to London, where he appeared on stage, later traveling around Europe, the US, and Australia as get this name, Chang the Chinese Giant. Of course, that's such an original name. That's such a modernized, like a Western European. Well, you can't be going around with that Zan name. We're going to call you Chang the Chinese Giant. How's that? Ching Chang. Chang.
Can you imagine how many things that somebody would be canceled from?
Right.
I mean, this sounds like a cancellation waiting to happen.
Yes. He received a good education, though. He received a good education in various countries and developed a good understanding of 10 languages. Holy cow. In America, he earned a salary of $500 a month, which back then, that was a good salary. In 1878, Zahn retired from the stage and settled in Bournemouth, where he opened a Chinese tea house and a store selling Chinese imports. I thought he was going to say bobbleheads or something. Zahn died in Bournemouth in 1893, 4 months after his wife, aged 50. His coffin was 8 feet 6 inches, buried in Bournemouth Cemetery. Now, look at some of these pictures of this dude.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Look, he's just got his arm hanging on this. I guess this was in either United States or England when this picture was taken.
Mm-hmm.
But, geez, look at this dude. Look at this dude.
He was probably just he seems very gracious whenever
he does. Yes, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. He seemed like he would be very polite. He would be, very well spoken, well mannered, Not like a savage that would rip your arms out of its sockets, you know.
It's just the opposite. When I've seen these pictures, that's what I detect about these people, that they have a refinement and they're more gentle, and like the gentle giant. Maybe that's where the whole meme and trope comes from, because it's something about maybe giantism when you think about Jason and the vapor canopy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just putting some things together.
Well, look at Andre the Giant too, the wrestler. Everybody said he was such the nicest guy. Like it was just so nice. And
right.
And this is actually irritating me. What is this woman looking at? What's this chick looking at?
I know.
She's got like a look of disgust on her face.
I think photographers.
It's like her eyes are going like over here. It's like,
right.
or like, is he gonna hit me with this?
No, they're posing people in weird ways. I think with these older, I don't know. They just didn't.
And this dude looks like his handler, like he's whispering something in his ear. It's like, dude, you could have warned me. I had my mouth open or something. Like whatever. Yeah, just kind of.
That looks like a handler. You're right. Somebody
silent but deadly.
He's taking advantage of him and his kindness. He has a handle.
He's got his hand on this on the head of this little midget or whatever this is.
That is so cute, though. I don't know why everybody that's cute to me. It looks adorable.
Oh my gosh. Looks like one of the dudes that played an Ewok in Star Wars.
Yeah. It's cute. Oh, yeah. These look like handlers. Oh, my God, John. Now that you said it.
I know. He's in every picture almost.
I don't like it, you guys. He's taking advantage of this man.
But look at like the shape of his skull. Look at like the cheek, the definition of the cheek and the jawline and stuff like that. And even like the shape of the crown of the skull there, how it kind of. But, and can you imagine? Probably by this time, giants were dying out, and you'd probably still get a random person born that way every once in a while. But man, they and then I came across this. This. We have spoken about giants many times through this channel. This is the Tartarian channel. Here we can see an elephant hunt depiction from 1578 by Jan van der Straat. We can tell that it's an adult elephant from the tusks. If the proportions are correct, then that would mean these are giant men who ride giant horses. So if you look at this, I have a picture of it here. Where is it? Here. So see, it looks depicting a full-size elephant. You've got the tusks here, and you've got these guys on these horses, which would, if like what they're saying, if the proportions are correct, these guys would be giants on giant horses. Why do they have to make butthole so accurate? What is wrong with people? Kitty.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just happened to look over and it's like, there's Kitty.
I never know when she is going to be invasive.
But typical African bush elephant, is almost 4 meters tall compared to almost 2 meter tall person. So
amazing.
Goes back to what Jennifer was saying before. Was this a representation, like an over exaggeration, or was this like a literal? Because you can see like there's tusks on the ground. There's a dead elephant over here. It's like it's a hunt. So to me, I don't know. Why would you represent it that way? If these people weren't large of stature physically.
Right. It's something to think about. Just because again, I go back to what Jason, that was the first time the vapor canopy theory helped me to make sense, because he mentioned that it's something about volcanic eruptions as well.
Yes.
So that volcano that went off in St. Martin, and he said that it brought in a vaporous canopy. So people literally grew, he said. The team that went down, the scientific team that went to the island, they grew like it was 2 inches from being in the rich environment.
Right.
So you respond to that rich oxygen, biosphere, and the animals would grow too. The food,
Right.
everything is going to respond that that lives, in a natural ecosystem. So if that has happened in several places, that's why giantism isn't seen everywhere. It could be because when the vapor canopy or the sky fell and the giants couldn't live in this environment for long, so they pretty much died out in the probably late early 1900s, maybe. Like that was probably the last of them.
Mm-hmm.
So now that puts a whole new twist on even the Nephilim theory. So now I'm like, I'm revisiting a lot of things. So maybe this was because of the big biblical flood, that happened where the sky fell, and maybe not everywhere. Or I don't know. Was it the whole earth realm?
It's a question. It's hard to answer. And to your point, what they used to call the megafauna from millions of years ago. So if you include dinosaurs in that, they were in megafauna. Even the trees and the plants were proportionally larger as well. And because if you think about it, the more oxygen you have coming from the trees, the bigger the animals can get, and the more carbon dioxide that's being, in this case, not so much from the animal life, but from volcanic activity and other things. And that would put carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which would keep those trees and plants large as well. So when you have that symbiosis, that balance leave or disappear, it's going to affect both eventually. So like if the plants die off, then the animals get smaller, or if the plants start shrinking in size over time, then the animals start shrinking in size over time. So, and vice versa. Like it's like if the
not a sudden thing, right? It's gradual. That's what, even with the way that the country is unraveling, one thing I'm appreciating is it's not a shocker, like, everything is swirling down the drain slowly. So the giants going, like, people adjusting to this level of oxygen that we have now without a vapor canopy, shorter and shorter lifespans, shorter, everything food is smaller. And now it makes sense. It's just like, wow, okay, and it just happened slowly. So the ones that were photographed, they were the last of that sort of generation, where the children of these giants would be our size now, but maybe taller, because some families, people are taller. I come from a tall family, so
yeah, I think that the genes are always going to be there in a lot of cases. It's just the environment is not conducive for that. Like it's
that's a good point.
It's and for those, again, climate fraud people who always complain about carbon emissions and that kind of stuff. What do you think the trees and the plants need to live? If you start reducing all the carbon emissions and everything else, cow farts, like AOC talking about cow farts and everything else, your trees aren't going to get, they're going to get smaller, and they're going to get fewer. Your plants are going to get smaller and fewer. So you're going to start losing oxygen in the atmosphere, and you're going to actually allow more carbon dioxide to remain in the atmosphere, because the plants will start dying off because they don't, it's like I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it's like a vicious circle. It's a catch-22. You need that balance.
Right.
Because if you look at the history of the world, well, what we think the history of the world is.
Exactly.
The Earth was a pretty violent place to live for millions and millions and millions of years. Very, very, very violent, and with volcanic activity and everything else. So you're replacing that carbon emission with volcanoes and all the other stuff millions of years ago with humans living in the realm now and on the planet. So it's not like Earth has never seen this level of carbon before, and had successful plant life, successful, vertebrates, just success. The Earth has always been about success stories. People think our biggest problem is not carbon emissions, and they want you to think that.
Yeah.
Our biggest problem is waste, is what to do with, because people are, let's face it, people are wasteful. Whether look at how much garbage, just think about how much garbage like a typical four-person family every week gets rid of.
Yep.
And that is the biggest problem. It has nothing to do with carbon emissions or whatever.
Yeah.
We need to find out a solution for the waste problem.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna have those streets like those pictures we saw of the manure, 12 feet tall or whatever it was.
It's so funny that you're bringing this up, because I have in my book had jotted a note down because I want to talk about this very subject and share how they deal with waste in Ethiopia, of all places. Ethiopia has to be one of the greenest countries I've ever heard of, and literally saw it for myself. A lot of times people don't hear about countries and the good things that they do, but they have a culture, and it is part of their culture to recycle, like in ways that you would be so shocked about. And they do not let trash fill places. Like, it gets recycled so many times into usable things. And they have a marketplace in the middle of the city of Addis Ababa where people literally almost, it's like a farmer's market where they kind of like, it's all about recycling things. So people bring all of their plastic containers, and if you have tires that are flat and can't do anything, it's a guy that deals in tires, and they're taking the tires, turning them into other products. You know what I'm saying? And Ethiopia doesn't get the credit for living. This is a normal thing for them. And it's super impressive. And that was just the thing that I had jotted down that I was going to share with, just with people. They don't know. I wouldn't have known if I didn't spend time in Ethiopia. And it was like, wow, they are like, they make us look like, wow, like we're Flintstones compared to this. Because the thing about having conversations, like you've said, I want us to get to that place too, where the main street becomes active again. The barbershops are bustling, the beauty salons, people are talking, because we didn't have the division as much when people talked. We have more in common. I don't have a problem with recycling. That's not the problem. Like, it's not that. It's just that they're making us feel like we are the biggest perpetrators, and we do this to the earth when it's not the case. So living where you're not wasteful is godly. That's like, that's part of what I've been talking about, like law and order. And I literally have watched a culture who does this. And that is their regular way of life. It's not like they have to get in the habit of doing it. And if we had a culture similar, if we shared, like if they shared their knowledge, how did they get a society that just, this is what it is? Because I hated living out in California for that reason, because if I was in Santa Monica, that's one of the worst places in LA to be. I didn't know. I went into the supermarket just like I would normally, and I didn't have any bags. I didn't bring my own bags, and they treated me like a criminal. And this is when it was still new that they were about to start. So Santa Monica was one of the first places probably to institute that you can't get groceries. Like you can't shop there if you don't bring a bag. There's no way you're carrying it out. And they're Nazi militant in Santa Monica about this, you know? And it's just the way they do it out there is real nasty and aggressive, you know? But I'm just saying we can do better if we know better, you know?
Right. Absolutely. And to your point with the tires and stuff like that, a lot of countries, including Ethiopia, I believe, they take that material and they actually make blacktop, like pavement, that they pave the roads with it.
Wow.
So they don't have to use other like oil-based type stuff. They mix it with something, but they are able to use old tires and make their roadways. So and they actually make with plastic bottles and stuff like that. I think they make some kind of cooling system, like in the clay houses and stuff like that. They're able to make, like, I don't know the exact process, but they literally, like you said, they figure out a way to reuse just about everything. And
yeah, just about everything, like you said, is very little. When you have a society that knows how to recycle, and it's not a political thing, it's
right.
it's a we do better because we know better, do no harm, don't just be wasteful. That's not a godly way to run a country, just be this wasteful like we are. And you know, all this landfill conversation, you don't have as much to fill. I mean, and if you're making maybe hemp products, how about making the plastic out of hemp? You know, when we wake up and really like we compare notes, this taking over of our lands, we could end this so much sooner. I'm just saying we really could, because we could take the whole climate thing into our own hands. That'd be great. You know, when states get their power and their rights, and imagine getting some Ethiopian ambassadors to come and travel and do, like, maybe they could do talks on how they do it, or other countries.
Mhm.
Do you know other countries, John, or anybody that does like what I'm saying? Like they live it. It's not punitive. It's not done in
Right.
this, like, you know, virtue signaling way. It's just like, this is what we do. It's just natural and organic, you know? Do you know any other nations that do it like that?
I'm not right off the top of my head. It's because it has to be obviously a mindset and a cultural thing. Like from the time you're born to the time you die, it keeps getting passed down, and it's just the way you do things. And it's just like anything else. It's your environment that you're raised in becomes your reality. So if you're raised in a reality like that, you don't know any different. That's the way things are done.
Right.
And it's a symbiosis, you know, not only with your fellow tribesmen or, you know, clansmen or commune buddies. You have, but it's going to take people starting to think more on a macro level instead of a micro level. Like they're like the big picture, like, how does this affect my neighbor? How does this affect, you know, whatever? And how does this affect the environment as far as living harmoniously, I mean, whether it's with other people or the environment. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be used for, like, they talk about all these like fuel shortages in the wintertime and that kind of stuff, heating oil and that kind of thing. There was 2 decades or 3 decades, however long ago, it was a while ago, somebody built a plant and came up with simple solution to like the waste in New York. And I don't know if it's being used still, or I'd have to do a little more research. But from what I remember, this person developed a way to just take garbage in whatever form it was in. Like, you didn't have to process it and separate it and all this other stuff.
Okay.
They were able to create these, like this, like in burning things, they, like in steel and stuff, they call it coke. It's the pellets that you use to create this crazy amount of heat. So
Wow.
they could take just garbage and create these pellets, like these fuel pellets out of them that can be burned pretty cleanly in this particular plant. And they were, at the time, they were looking at making it something that could be on a smaller scale, like you could use at home. Like you'd get a delivery of these fuel pellets that are made out of, processed garbage or whatever. So you're using it to heat your home and, to do that kind of stuff. But it seems like politics always gets in the way of stuff, and or they try to politicize things.
Exactly.
And it just throws a monkey wrench. Karen, what did Karen say? I just told someone that today. I said, you have to be patient with people and their interpretations, because people only know the reality that they were raised under. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
100%.
And that's where we are, right? It just seems that we're as divided as they portray. I think people are just tired of the division. It's like, can we just, what are we doing here? Okay. We really want the same things, especially after this clown show. People are really going to be on the same page, because I've noticed, I don't know if you all have noticed this, I have a lot of new faces looking at content that these are people that have put me on mute or something. I'm talking friends and family. And I thought a lot of these people had already blocked and unfriended me. And I'm like, wait a minute, are we still? Oh, we're still connected. I didn't know this. What's going on? Oh, you're liking something I post? What's going on? I hadn't seen you in 2 years. But something has happened. I just want you to know something real weird is happening. And it's a good weird. But I'm taking it as a sign that people are getting to that point where we've been waiting for this point to happen. But also, I have to keep in mind that this is a traumatic thing to come into truth, especially if you've been resisting it this long. These people are going to probably be the biggest truthers. We might see a whole new wave of truthers that'll make me and John look like we're phoning it in. They'll be like, wow, you and John are lazy out here on this front. We'll say, sorry, we're doing the best we can. We do videos every week. And they'll be like, yes, step it up, John and Jen.
There'll be a whole new crop of awakened individuals. Like, it'll be like brand new to them, and it'll be like
brand new.
How can you guys know? We already talked about this 2 years ago, but we're not going to say anything about it.
They're like,
you run with it.
Yeah, look, I'm making kombucha and growing hemp. You guys go and do all the memes and everything. Just leave me and John alone. John is starting a farm, and him and his wife have a farm in Ohio. Leave him alone, okay? We're at the other side of this thing, okay? We're not going to be doing all that. You guys have the new energy. It's like you just got a infusion of coffee, right? A whole straight coffee from Ethiopia right in your veins. Go get out there, fight the fight.
You'd probably find me in Tennessee in a house looking at the mountains on Douglas Lake. It's one of my favorite spots. That's where I would be.
We're learning more about you, John. But see, that's probably what happens to the various cycles of society. The people that are up in the mountains looking like they don't want nothing to do, they had already gone through some Kali Yuga of some sort where they're like, listen, I'm at the end of this marathon. I don't want nothing to do with anybody, okay? I'm up in the mountains. Leave me alone.
I'm going to drive my carbon emitting hybrid eating, electric car eating 66 GTO around all them curvy roads in the mountain. And I'm going to be driving around in my big gas guzzling boat or whatever, just on the lake. No, I took Julie there last year. She had never been to like Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg or anything like that. And I lived in Tennessee for 5 or 6 years. Oh, nice. And I had 20 acres, horses, the whole 9 yards, and I absolutely loved it. And I would love to retire there. I absolutely, and she's on board with it. She actually fell in love with it when we were there the last time. And I love, speaking of community, I love the people of East Tennessee. I absolutely love the people of East Tennessee. They are so God-fearing, so loving, so accommodating, and just you know how like in some places where you just like you go to the grocery store, something like that, and people would rather spit on you than give you the time of day. They just kind of put their head down and or turn away and they just keep walking or whatever.
Philadelphia.
Cleveland. So like everywhere I go down there, whether it's a restaurant, a store, whatever, I can always strike up a conversation with some old dude or some ladies and working in the store or somebody that's getting groceries or whatever. Everybody loves just talking to each other and like knowing what's going on in your life and that kind of, or even at the worst, just saying, how you doing? You know,
exactly.
You know, it's such a nice thing. What does Donna say? Donna Hedges. Hey, Donna. John, now y'all are talking my area.
Oh, nice. Tennessee.
Here from Tennessee. Awesome. I love East Tennessee. I lived in Luttrell, home of Kenny Chesney. God bless his soul.
Nice. I love Tennessee. Whenever I've gone, it is absolutely stunning. I really do love Tennessee too. I see why people fall in love with it.
And only reason I say home of Kenny Chesney, if you know who Kenny Chesney is, you know, the country singer. Luttrell is literally about as big as my neighborhood. It's not, you know, it's not a big city.
Okay.
You go down the main drag, which is like a little 2-lane road. There's no stops, you know, no stoplights or anything. It's just, and then like City Hall is literally like a little outbuilding. And but the biggest thing in Luttrell, Tennessee is this giant ass sign. It's got to be like 10 or 12 feet tall, and it's super wide. Like you can't even see the buildings behind it.
Oh, wow.
It says Luttrell, home of Kenny Chesney. They're so proud of Kenny Chesney there. And which, yeah, hey, that's great. But
I mean, you know, little towns, they are proud of their famous people. That's cute.
But I loved it there. I mean, if anybody, if you have never eaten at a Huddle House, you're missing out. They're sort of like Waffle Houses, I guess, but they're good. They're different. They're bigger than a little bigger than like a Waffle House. You can fit like 5 people. At least the Huddle House, you could fit like 12 or 15, maybe 20 people. And for like at least when I lived there, it was the only thing close to me because like I purposely lived like 40 minutes from anything. And like I owned a mattress store at the time. It took me 45 minutes to get to work, but I loved the drive every day. I just absolutely, when I was driving through the mountains and everything, I just loved the drive. Like the 45 minutes just went by like you wouldn't believe.
That's so nice. Wow.
So the Huddle House, like, was halfway, like when I got off the freeway, it's like halfway from the freeway to my house. So
wow, nice.
It was like a spot in the middle of nowhere. It was just like this random, like there's a gas station and a Huddle House.
Nice.
So I would always go there for breakfast, like on Sunday mornings or Saturday mornings or whatever. I mean, you could get like eggs and bacon and toast and all this for like $5. Like it was just like, oh man, biscuits and gravy and everything. And you talk to your neighbors, like because a lot of my neighbors that lived, you know, within 3 to 5 miles of me.
Right.
I like the local sheriff and that kind of stuff. One of the guys I bought hay from would come on Saturdays and stuff. So it was just like to Jennifer's point, that what she's talked about in the past. I love that. That is such a wonderful feeling when you know people, whether you agree on things or not, they got your back still. They still have your back. Like if something happens and somebody messes with your house or something, they got your back. They got your back, and they don't turn their, you know, something happens, you need money, or you got to go to the hospital or whatever. It's like they're like my neighbors, even though I didn't talk to them that much. My closest neighbor was like 3 or 4 acres away. And but the day that I moved in, They were standing on the husband and wife. They were standing on my front porch with 2 different pies, an apple pie and a cherry pie.
Oh my God.
And they welcomed me to the area.
Wow.
And of course, this is something else they do say, and I found this out right away. Have you found a good church yet? That's
Yes.
that's next to the food. It's have you found a good church?
Yes, it is. That in little towns, certain little towns, that is a normal thing to check with you. That is so true. I love it, John.
Oh, Donna says no more huddle houses.
Really?
She goes, they shut down. Oh man.
They all
shut down. She also says my husband is wrestling in Luttrell next month.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Wow. Nice.
Awesome.
But no more huddle house, Donna? Really?
That sucks. I love the huddle house.
Yeah. But you know what? Here's another thing, okay? I have been realizing that we have to get used to the fact that we're going to see businesses that we liked and we have memories. They're going to start, going by the wayside, and we're watching that old system collapse. And that's not easy either to witness. So we have to just keep each other like boosted up, because it is going to be kind of sad to watch an era come to an end, because we're part of that. Like, we share a lot of the same experiences, all of us. Like, we watched the malls come into prominence. Remember when the malls came about?
Yep.
In those stores, and now you're watching the death of the malls. And what I'm looking forward to, I tell myself, when I see this stuff, I see commercial real estate that's been sitting for years in my community, like it was an old Kmart or an old Toys R Us.
Gonna get worse.
And it's just sitting there, and nobody, like, who's gonna get an old big building like that? Who's gonna need that nowadays? So it's just gonna have to be taken, like, all
they're
the
counting on that. They are absolutely these these 1%ers.
Yeah,
they are absolutely counting on the fact that all this commercial real estate is going to be available,
right?
That they can convert into whatever they want, whether it's low cost housing that they control, because they want to bring people out of the suburbs, and they want to bring people into concentrated areas.
Yeah,
they want people to be living in these whatever you want to call them, these planned developments and stuff
smart
like that.
Cities, they call them smart. Everything's run by your phone. But the thing about us, that we have the power to create a parallel system. So if those big stores are going away and you're in a smaller kind of area, that's when I see I don't know. I just see people doing more local, like farmers market type of bartering, like more small batch things where you're not needing to store it for long. You're just making kombucha maybe, and you go out and you sell the fresh kombucha, and when it's gone, it's gone. You have to wait for the new batch. Everybody, like,
kombucha is an acquired taste, but it's good for you. It's really good for your body.
It is. And that could be something. People may have an idea to do something that's more scaled down. It will fill sort of these holes that we're going to see a lot of. Even if the 1%ers plan is to take the commercial real estate, I believe that their plans that they've had in place, like written down, that as they try to execute them, I don't know, maybe it's my hopeful thinking that as they start to be taken down, these plans are just going to not be able to be brought forth all the way. They're going to attempt it, but it's just going to fail.
Right.
As we just have to not get demoralized, because there are things like, that's illegal for a country to buy up all the land. That's warfare, because
it's happening. It just happened again last week.
Yeah, I can't go to China, or like, if we had the money to buy stuff in China, we can't go and buy things in China or company. That's not allowed, maybe corporate stuff, but yeah, that's against law. So that's the thing. We have to start learning the law and getting back to the paperwork and documents, because that violates all kinds of treaties and all kinds of things. That's like warfare. You can't do that. So we have to stop Stop allowing it. That's just bottom line. Men have to stand up. The men have to, like I said, menopause. Are the men all paused? Like, what's happening? We can't allow another country to buy up our farmland and take over our food supply. That's when, no, we just have to stop them.
That's why they keep using the word or the phrase toxic masculinity, because they want men to be emasculated. They want men to be, for lack of a better word, pussies. They want these soy boys that are pliable, that can be controlled. They can't stand up for anything. They can't fight for themselves. That's what they want men to be like, because they don't have to worry about guns or anything like that. They won't have to worry about any kind of resistance to any kind of change. So and this is kind of what I envision. I've talked to Julie about this with some of these bigger spaces like the Kmart's and that, that kind of thing that are like 30 to 50,000 square feet. Since I'm into cars and stuff like that, I thought, maybe we can get investors, since we're both in real estate, to see this idea of taking some of these buildings and not allow them to be bought up by, investors, like foreign investors,
right?
But use them as common spaces for multiple types of businesses. So, for example, like I had the idea of there's a lot of guys still that like working on their cars on the weekend, changing their own oil, that kind of stuff. Putting together a space where you have the lifts, you have all the tools and supplies and everything that they need. They could just pay a fee for an hour or whatever, and they can use the lift and the tools and the welding equipment or whatever and work on their little projects and stuff. Or they can rent it by the month, rent a space by the month to work on their cars or their boats or whatever it is. And then in another part of the building, you could have like metal workers, artists, whatever, they would have space to create and, do things, and you would have a store for each of those, for like the welders, you'd have a shop that would sell welding supplies, so they wouldn't have to go drive somewhere and get them. Like they'd have all their welding supplies there. If you had artists, you'd have all their art supplies there, like people at a reasonable price. You could sell the oil there if you wanted to and dispose of the oil. And there is one person locally that is one of Julie's clients that was thinking about doing something like that, but he hasn't done anything. But I'm thinking on a grander scale. It could be multiple types of business. Everything's under one roof. All your supplies and everything are there. And it's a safe kind of, I hate to use the word safe space, but a place where you can go and be part of that community for however long it is, whether you want to rent it for a day, a month, or whatever it is. And it's like a constant, people are coming and going, and they have a place to do that in these big old buildings like the Kmart's and that kind of stuff. Because I don't think, depending on what kind of industry it is, you could even have an indoor farmers market kind of thing, like where
I see what I'm writing this down, John. Don't be mad at me, John. Literally, you have come up with something. This is so in my wheelhouse. Like I've been wanting to
keep the foreign investors out. Get local people to invest in it.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to compete. But finding out the illegal, since you and Julie are into real estate, that is violation of our sovereignty as a country. We can't like that.
Well, it's a violation. It's actually a, for example, like fair housing laws. So, for example, you have to have people, the average Joe, if they have the ability and the credit to be able to purchase a home, they should be able to purchase a home. You should not have a corporation, and like BlackRock is one of those corporations. I'll just use them as an example.
Right.
That literally buy up everything because they don't want anybody owning anything. They want to own it and they want to lease it back to you. So they have the money, or at least they did. I'll talk about that in a second. So like like in a normal housing market, if somebody was able to afford a $200,000 or $250,000 house, and then you're competing against the company that has unlimited funds and wants the property just because they want it for their portfolio, because they're just buying up all these houses in a certain area. So they could spend 350,000 for the same house. And so now you have that average Joe, he's knocked out of the market because now he can't buy a house because he keeps running up against these corporations or these. In Ohio, we have a lot of California investors, a lot of people on these low income housing and stuff like that. Always seem to be California investors. Like they buy them sight unseen.
Yeah. Always.
They'll pay generally what you're asking if they're worth it or more. But if somebody else is in the hunt for it, they will always go over just to make sure that that person will not get that property.
Yeah.
So to me, that's some kind of a fair housing law violation. It's got to be. If you're preventing people from owning homes purposely, because so long story short, and the thing I was going to say about BlackRock is they're in super hot trouble because they lost 1.6 or 1 point whatever trillion dollars in 6 months of their clients' money. 6 months, 1.6 trillion or whatever in 6 months. And you wonder why you have the Chinese storming the banks and stuff like that, and they have to bring out tanks to guard the banks because they're afraid people are going to pull all their money out. That's what.
Wait, I have been out of the loop. So when did this BlackRock thing? Because I heard about BlackRock and what they were doing, but when did that really start to be exposed?
It's been going downhill for a little while, and people are just figuring it out, especially with Chinese. But,
that's awesome to hear. Wow, love it.
I had it on the show the other morning. Let's see. I can't remember if BlackRock was one word or not. Let's see here.
I'm really excited about this idea that you just shared. This should be like a model, John. Have you thought about working this out as a model that a lot of communities could? I want to work on this because this actually relates to what I've been wanting to do. I want to make some food forests and some, farmers markets and things like that to build more of the communal bartering kind of. So I've been thinking of different things like having night markets where you have food trucks, maybe how to get into the food truck business. Maybe this could be something like that where people start to think about taking the power back and not being sad, because this will help not to be depressed about seeing all these places go out of business. I didn't realize, I just learned this week that Starbucks was going out of business. A lot of Starbucks, and
there's a God.
I haven't gone.
There is a God.
Yeah, I haven't gone to Starbucks since I was working as a nurse because that was easy. But then I got mad at them for the things they were doing because they wanted me to wear a mask, and I told speeches inside the Starbucks, and the employees were they were coming outside I'm glad you did that, but I was bucking the system early. So I was I'm never coming back to Starbucks. I'm taking a stand. So I haven't had one, I think, in a long time. I just had sworn off. And whenever I go to a little coffee place, it's a little mom and pop coffee place I go to, and they never had their employees masked up. So I really love them for that. And I told them that. I said, I'm so glad your employees are not masked. The whole time they didn't have the masks like that.
Yeah, Starbucks has that crazy Cthulhu looking logo on their cups, whatever, that crazy mermaid Cthulhu thing. Exactly. But there's also, while I'm still thinking about it, there's a gentleman in Detroit. I think it's Detroit. He's just from a neighborhood. He doesn't have a lot of money or anything, but he came up with a movement there. I'm sorry if it's not Detroit. For some reason, Detroit's sticking in my head because remember, Detroit went bankrupt a few years ago. But Detroit has some very poor areas, some really dilapidated areas. And so he took a lot of these, because there was a lot of abandoned lots in a lot of neighborhoods. There was where they tore houses down, just a lot of empty space. So he started a community in all these different communities, these community gardens. He would take these empty lots, or even tree lawns in some cases, if you know what a tree lawn is.
No, what is that? I've heard of it.
In some cities and urban like suburbs, like where I live in Ohio, like, how like some houses have a sidewalk in front of it? The grass that's closest to the road by the sidewalk, not the grass in your front yard.
Yeah, I got you.
That's the tree lawn.
Okay, I never knew the official name. They have a lot of those in Philly too. Okay, tree lawns.
So he started pushing this, and he started getting people on board. Like people were like taking ownership of their little neighborhoods and stuff, and they were planting community kind of gardens where anybody could come and take vegetables, and like you didn't have to have permission if you wanted to grab tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever. But they obviously they would want people to help plant the stuff and keep maintain it and that kind of thing. But since the city wasn't doing anything, or the communities weren't doing anything to keep or build homes on these lots, or to keep whatever, like they just used the empty space. They didn't ask the city, I don't think. They just did it, because the city obviously didn't care about it. And
that's right. I believe in that. Why get into the bureaucracy? That's how it got there. Like the people have to take over. We don't need the government, the local county and all to do something good for people. Like we have been so put in a box, and I love that they broke out and just said, no, well, we're doing this.
Yeah, Karen, we had, when I briefly lived in Minneapolis, we had the same thing. So New York City, they just started with the three boroughs, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Bronx, the night markets where there's different food vendors, festivals. Yeah, I mean that also brings people together too. I mean, I'm not saying it's like kumbaya, but it brings people out into the neighborhood, and a little bit of community, it builds a camaraderie. It builds. You're less likely in the future, if you have communities like that, to be divided by the mainstream media or anybody else trying to push a division narrative or that kind of thing. It strengthens your bond with your neighbors. And
that's right. And they can't pull another 2020 if you're, and that's the beauty of New York City. Although all the challenges of being there, that's the one thing no one could take away from New York, is that they do have a community, is big and busy and whatever. Whenever I've been in New York and stayed for a period of time, and I'm in Harlem, Spanish Harlem, Black Harlem, it's like everybody in a building, they've known each other for years. They've lived in the building like 2 generations or more. And it's like, they know each other. They look out. It's like, that's a true community. And I had a friend who, her and her mom lived in 2 buildings, and they would send things across a little basket across the kitchen windows. Like, hey, Mom, I need an onion. And she's like, okay. She sends it across a little pulley. And it's like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah, all those little brownstones are so, like, they're literally like share walls, and like, so you're literally close to your neighbor, and like you've got,
exactly.
It's I do think it will get back to that, and I do think that people, because of the desire to get back to that, I think that's why this will change, and I think it won't be a gradual thing. I think once these other people get on board with the Great Awakening and everything, I really feel like there's going to be this push to brotherhood, this push to loving your neighbor again, and this push to, back when I was a kid, it was always anybody in the family, if we were visiting somebody or a friend, it's like, we're not talking politics or religion at the table, so
you're right.
It's going to get back to that. And where it's just not a part of the conversation anymore. And when it matters, when family time and that kind of stuff. And,
because that's what we called kitchen table talk. Remember that was the term, kitchen table talk? Because I want to bring a lot of these phrases back, because I'm working on an experiment, and you're just really confirming that this is definitely where I want to be. And some of these old terms and things like that, I'd like to circle back and unpack them. But that was something that, we experienced, the kitchen table culture. And the realness of it all, and that's the thing. Like,
Yes.
I always talk about, if we break bread together, we bring food. How can you have a fight and you're eating good food? I mean, I know some people do it, but if you're just talking and you're talking over food and music and good things, like everybody is like, getting to know each other, because we have to build trust again.
Yes.
Trust has been taken away because of the division, and if we realize, like, it doesn't matter, like, I don't care who you're sleeping with as long as it's not a kid. I'm not trying to regulate.
Right.
And I don't care what color you are. I don't care about any of that crap. Okay. Just do no harm. Can we do that? I don't care if you like me.
Unless you're Chang the Chinaman.
Yeah.
Or the Chang the Chinese giant.
I bring them back, because the giants would probably show a gentleness, but I think that will happen in a way. It's like what you're saying, like what you stated is a model that would be an answer for how the states could begin to get back to law and order. I keep using law and order, because that's what it is. Law and order it's not just about, you follow the traffic rules. Law and order comes down to family and codes of conduct for your society. And just like Karen just said, see, where she is in Harlem. Oh yeah, it was something else that she said up higher, when she said, not only do we know each other, that one, but who doesn't fit in will be addressed. Like, who are you? See, that's how people weed out an agent or anything. Like, hey, who are you? You just have to ask. They ask you when you go through TSA. It's almost like kind of like, who are you? Hey, you could do it in a nice way, but you're finding out, like, are they answering questions? Are they dodgy? And people used to they used to vet people, and the people who make your food. If they make some bad food, oh, you're right, knocking on their door. Hello, Farmer John. Everybody in the house has diarrhea. Can you explain that? Would you like me to go let everybody know in town? It's like, oh, wait a minute, no, let's straighten it out. And that's how it should be. Not all this like hidden, and you don't know.
Yeah. Then you wouldn't see kids like this.
Oh, no. It's just like so true. That little guy, he has to be grown now, this meme kid.
Yeah.
His
when
hair.
You leave your kid in a Democrat-run public school because CNN said you're a bigot if you homeschool. That's absolutely true. And Karen, to your point, we could prevent this stuff. Like, we could save that kid.
Yes, and we have to, because that's who they're targeting. We don't have a choice. We can't sit back and wait for other people to do it.
No.
This is who they're targeting. That meme right there, even though it's funny, it just shows like they are absolutely after the children.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Just go. That's awesome. Sort of. That's really good.
But just know, this is a very important one. Just know that this is happening right now.
Yay. I love it. Yeah, I love
that
it.
That is
I feel
absolutely 1000% happening right now. And that's why it seems so crazy right now. Well, anyway, to me, this is an obvious question too.
It is so true. Oh my God, Rodney Dangerfield. Wow, when comedy.
Good old Rodney. I'm just obviously taking this segue to do a few memes here while we're, just kind of. And I don't know the age range of everybody here, but I know Jennifer and I are similar age. So You probably watch like Miami Vice and that kind of stuff. And
Oh,
you remember like the color scheme, a lot of the old TV shows and the way the music sounded and like that 80s vibe, you know, with Knight Rider and that kind of stuff and Miami Vice. And
it was.
I'm not going to play this entire video, but you get the gist because it's actually somebody made like a music video with cats, and it's like it's got like an 80s feel to it and an 80s look, you know. So I thought this might be a little pick me up for the, you know, part, you know, you have to, I love the 80s, so you have to understand why I like this meme.
I can't take it.
Yeah, I could totally see that being the opening to some 80s show, you know, like some oh, Julie, hey Julie, what's
Julie,
going on there?
Help me, Julie.
She's got the eyeballs and the
That might be the funniest thing I've seen in a.
Yes, Donna, it looks like a scene from Thundercats.
Why is that so funny? That literally, oh my God.
Here's another one for you. It's appropriate for like this week specifically, but
hey everybody. I just tested positive for monkeypox. I'm not gonna get vaccinated. You want a banana? Anybody want a banana? Does anybody have one? Ooh. An election year is coming up. Midterm. Monkeypox. Fake voting. We see you, deep state.
I'm done, everybody. White flag. Where's my white flag? I can't take. All right. Really, I'm gonna need an inhaler.
just wait. There's a couple more here. There's
oh gosh,
a couple more.
Wow.
I love this one. This is one of my favorites. It's a little on the older side, but it's good.
Ship my pants. Right here? Ship my pants. You're kidding. You can ship your pants right here. You hear that? I can ship my pants for free.
Wow, I just may ship my pants.
Yeah, ship your pants. Billy, you can ship your pants too.
I can't wait to ship my pants, Dad.
I just shipped my pants, and it's very convenient.
I just shipped my drawers.
I just shipped my nightie.
I just shipped my bed.
Oh no, that's terrible. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. The jokes just write themselves.
And they do. They literally do. I mean, it's like
I'm pretty much. Oh man. Ooh, wow. That's terrible. Okay, I'm done, everybody. I can't do it. That's
And let's see, one or two more. Here we go.
you all. This is really great.
And this is literally, this would be me here. So picture me in this role to the left or whatever.
It's the explaining part for me. Can you just imagine you have to really explain? He's just humoring you, like, oh, really? Okay. That's great. The British are coming.
If Facebook existed in 1776, the British are coming. False information checked by independent fact checkers. See why. Not all the British, only the British Army, so partly false. And that is kind of the clown world we live in with these social media platforms. They find some little something, and that's what they, that's how they market false. It's like, no, it's not the British. It's not all the British. It's just the British Army. You got to be more specific.
That's great. Clown world for sure. The best way to keep it. Yeah, there you are. Wow, it's powerful.
Yes, it is. Why is Julie texting me?
That's so funny.
Well, I should show. She wants me to show you guys. No, I'm not showing them that. Jeez, she just sent me a picture.
Oh, like, I'm like crying, Julie. Help me.
If I thought this was going the other way, that would be an appropriate meme. But
wait, can I ask you guys something? I think you'll be able to help me while I catch my breath. Please.
But see, this is what we need more of. We need people to just, you need to laugh. You need to laugh because of how ridiculous everything is.
I'm trying to tell my mom that because she stays in the angry phase. And I'm like, we're not doing the angry thing anymore. We're done with that. We were angry in 2020. Now let's stop being angry. Now it's time to laugh.
Right.
That's great. Oh gosh. Wow.
All right, I already did the ancestry one, right?
I don't know.
Assorted crackers.
Like I'm a done deal right now with the laugh. I have really done.
And I put this one in for Julie because we didn't get to all the stuff I wanted to get to, but I put this in to save it towards the end. But it goes into that whole thing. Everybody like a monkey.
Oh, okay.
So that's actually a spider monkey, and it's standing using its tail. This is its tail.
Oh my god! It looks like it's doing
I know.
steel, like a blue steel pose.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
so funny.
speaking of which, has anybody watched Mystery Men since the last time,
No, thanks
or any
for
of those
reminding me.
other?
Haven't done it yet. I'm doing I gotta put that. I can't wait to do movies. Like I'm doing some studying right now, and I've got to take a test in a little bit.
Okay, I'm doing some studying.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
doing well. It's different from my normal, but I'm actually doing some like studying, studying. So I'm like, when I do it, I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna catch up on, like, that would be fun to just take some time off to do movies, like just a movie kind of thing.
You've got a whole. I've already given you a whole list.
You
So
have.
you got.
Oh, you have. I want to do. Speaking of movies, can I ask you guys something? All right, there was a movie that, when you catch the tail end of movies, and then I don't think I definitely didn't catch the title, but I watched a movie maybe midway through or something, and it was about like this group. It was like a dark movie where this group was like I guess Eyes Wide Shut. So it was like a secret society kind of group. And these people they were definitely into nefarious things. But in the end of the movie, they all came into, it looked like a big banquet. And they thought that they were going to meet Satan. And I guess they were all going to be paid off for working for Satan all these years. They were worshiping him and everything. And then it was like they're all sitting or in this room, and Satan comes in and he's kind of like, hey, everybody, I fooled you all. I'm not as powerful as you think. And it was like everything just collapsed right there, where they're like, oh, what? It's like, this movie was so funny in terms of what I saw. Does anybody know anything? Because I would
Was it like a 80s movie or a 90s movie?
It was more recent. Yeah, it was not an old movie, but it was so funny that scene spoke so powerfully, because it was like they had just thought that they had been worshiping this entity that was more powerful than God, and then he just basically played them in the end. And it was like everything, I think the walls even came down, everything just collapsed. And it was done in a real irony, like a comedy almost. Like it was a dark comedy, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'd love to find it. It's a couple of movies like that where I'd like to watch them, but I don't know the title.
Little Nicky. That was a good one too.
I haven't seen Little Nicky, but I know it's not Little, because I would know that one. I don't recognize any of the people that were in this movie, but it was so well done in terms of the ending, where you see that evil just turns out to be a nothing burger. Like in terms of if you chose that side, you'll feel like so stupid,
And I'm going to be up at 3 a.m. thinking about it. But if anybody knows it, just put it in the comments or whatever. Before we leave, though, I do. This is something I had in the folder for today, and I do want to touch on this for the people that are doing their own research and that are utilizing things like the Library of Congress, that link I gave you guys and stuff like that. But this goes to what I was talking about earlier about chronology and how we're finding the gaps in history, and how we know that they've been padding time or taking away time and adding time periods to areas that don't make sense. So I came across this in history, fiction or science. The authors Fomenko and Nazovsky applied mathematical statistics to challenge the datings in his story laid down by Scaliger. I don't know where people are getting all these names from. In the 16th century, the so-called Scaligerian chronology is what is taught in textbooks even today. The authors of this 20-volume book series studied the patterns of lunar eclipses in the centuries past and found major diversions. So they took things that were fixed and known, like on a regular basis, and able to go, and that's, to me, that's genius, being able to use lunar eclipses to find patterns in history and that kind of stuff. Anyone who peruses volume 1 can vouchsafe that the authors followed an extremely detailed process in dealing with the complexity of ancient history using rigorous mathematical modeling, all meticulously presented to the reader. Let's see. The bibliography itself contains 1,500 citations in volume 1. Yet Wikipedia, of course, this is where the narrative people come in. Wikipedia says it's a pseudo-historical conspiracy theory. So let me continue here. But so if you go to those links to those websites they have in that last image I just showed, hold on a second here. Like these down here, these links here.
Right. Okay.
The first one is this. I would go to the website, but I don't want to keep us on too long. But it says created finally in the 16th century AD and accepted today. Chronology and history of the ancient and medieval world evidently contains big mistakes. Many outstanding scientists understood it and discussed during a long period of time, but it appeared to be a difficult task to build a new, non-contradictory concept of chronology. Starting from 1975, a group of mathematicians, mainly from the Moscow State University, were engaged in the development of this problem. Interesting results were received and and published both in scientific periodical print and in separate monographs. We underlined that the new concept of chronology is based mainly on analysis of historical sources with the methods of modern mathematical statistics and vast computer calculations. Excuse me. The task of chronology is to put in order the events into proper way on a temporary scale based on the available information. And this is what why can't I ever think of his name? The guy that was incarcerated.
Jason Bashir. Yes.
This is what Jason does. This is exactly what Jason does.
Yeah.
This task naturally fits into the field of applications of modern mathematical statistics, theory of information. The methods of humanities, one of which is history, are not enough for solving chronological issues. New chronology imposes another psychological picture of perception. And we've talked about this a number of times. Perception is reality. That's why they keep repeating things, whether they're true or not. If you repeat it enough, people are just going to believe it.
Exactly.
And that's what they're challenging here, is that that psychology of perception. Now, the word antiquity should be connected with the 15th to 16th centuries AD, that is, with the events distant from us on 300 to 400 years. Expression high antiquity should now relate to the 13th through 14th century AD. And I keep finding this where these people are studying this, like they're literally able to just knock out 400 years. 400 years here were added, 300 years here were added. Wow. To try to make it look like the Roman Empire ended at a certain time and never continued. And, there's just so many things that I'm glad people are catching this stuff and are actually bringing this to light again.
That's awesome.
Especially with Jason. Jason has done an amazing job of, let's see, hold on.
He really has. Yeah. Oh, Daryl. Thank you, Daryl. I'll look into that.
What is it?
Might have been Glorious Bastards. I don't know. But I'm gonna look into it.
Glorious Bastards, I think, was with what's his name, and it was about Hitler. Like they were trying to assassinate Hitler.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's not. I haven't seen Inglorious Bastards, but yeah, if anybody thinks of it, I'm telling you, it's a good movie from what I saw. I really want to watch it again. But
I love this quote. History is a pack of lies about events that never happened, told by people who weren't there.
Oh my gosh, I need that quote. History.
It's by George Santayana, American philosopher, 1863, 1952.
Wow, is a pack.
History is a pack of lies about events that never happened, told by people who weren't there.
Oh, that's
yes, that's right.
It's never been so good.
Can you hear that? If I play,
is that I heard?
Do you hear it? Like, is it coming through my microphone or through your speakers? Because
I think through
I use this on my morning show, but the way it's set up, it comes through only on the viewer's end.
I heard it through the speakers. I like not through. I don't think through your mic. It sounded funny. That's great.
Come on, man.
All right, anyway.
Best is yet to come.
Yeah, it's coming through clear.
Praise be. Hallelujah. God bless. Amen.
Yes.
All right. Anyway.
Wow.
So
good.
I wanted to. I will end with this. I did not all the other stuff because I wanted to talk about the Philosopher's Stone too, but we can do that on another show. We were talking about serpents 1 or 2 episodes ago, and I came across this. The only reason that made me think of it is because everything that's happening, with the Dutch in the Netherlands right now. And so I saw this, the giant serpent rumored to inhabit the lake. Again, it's a name I'm not even going to try to pronounce. We'll call it Lake L near E. I want me to try to pronounce that either. In East Iceland does exist, announced by the majority of the Truth Commission. Oh, that's a real thing. The majority of the Truth Commission, established in 2012 by the Municipal Council. It was concluded that the video was authentic, and I'm going to show you the video here in a second. It'll blow your mind. This person shot the video outside the back of his house in the early hours of the morning. There's been documentation in Iceland going back to the 1300s about these creatures. Our history of strange beings and creatures isn't as black and white as we're told. And the only reason I'm showing this is because I saw that picture I showed with the supposed giant men on giant horses fighting elephants or killing elephants. Mm-hmm. This serpent came up, and I want to play this video. It's not a long video.
Oh. Right.
You can clearly see like this triangular shaped head here. This is in Iceland, remember? Like, so there's no pythons, there's no, anacondas or anything like that.
Oh boy, that's freaky. That gives me the willies, like whatever that is. It looks so real. There's no way. I can't imagine somebody.
Yeah, normally I question stuff like that where the videos, whatever, and but this is in Iceland of all places, and it's clearly moving of its own accord, and it's serpent-like, and it's clearly moving in a direction because it's pushing the water out of the way. And it clearly has a triangular shaped head like a serpent would, or, whatever. Wow. It's just thought that was interesting. So take it for what you will.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. Oh boy. Something.
Let's see. Somebody had that thing in a tank and let it go. Yeah. Yeah. It's what's like the whole thing. Remember back in the 70s when they had that whole giant alligators in the New York subway or sewer system or whatever, because people were flushing them down the toilets or whatever. So like these alligators were growing to monstrous sizes, eating people in the sewers. And
that's a funny thing, actually. Yeah. Karen might remember the guy, Antoine. Do you know Antoine, who had the alligator in his apartment in Harlem? I'm friends with him on Facebook, Antoine. He was in the news for having an alligator, and he had also a tiger, or it was a tiger, I think, and an alligator. You could look it up, you guys. His name is Antoine. He would go to the ER after the tiger like scratched and bit him, and he would lie and say a dog did it. And after a while, the nurses and doctors are like, I don't think that's a dog that's getting Antoine. But he had the alligator. He kept the alligator in the tub, and nice. when the the authorities came, they like did a whole scaling down the building, and they jumped through the window and they seized. He had a lot of wild animals, but he lives in Vegas now, everybody, if you're wondering. He can have more wild animals there. It's a little friendlier for him. New York was just not friendly for his hobby. But yeah, that's Antoine, my Facebook friend. I should interview Antoine. Let's see if we can get on the show and talk about his harrowing experience with pets in New York. I think I might that's a great idea.
Harrowing experience.
If he's still my friend, I've lost a lot of friends on Facebook. I'm going to circle back and see if Antoine is still friends with me. You know Antoine? Look at that, Karen. I knew it, Karen. This world is small, Karen.
I'm trying to find, because I used to breed monitor lizards and stuff, but
that's
not
right.
Not like somebody who would keep an alligator in their bathtub. Like, this was professionally. It wasn't like
wouldn't that be funny, Karen? But yeah, so you know about big animals, but the monitor lizards, they get how big? Like when they are.
I'm trying to find I took a video at one of my buddy's places in Wisconsin when I went up to Chicago last time. He lives like across the border. It's on my old computer. Hold on, I've got a external hard drive. I plug in. Well, I don't know if I can plug it in because I'll disconnect my camera. Anyway, let's see here. Hold on. Thought I had one handy, but hold on. One moment. Oh, here we go. Let me scroll through real quick. Dun 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 dun. I feel like I should be playing that kind of music. Dun 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 dun.
Definitely. Have a little
like whatever music they play to build up Godzilla when he's getting ready to make an appearance on the scene. You know, they have that orchestra, and it builds and it builds and it builds and like. Hold on a sec here. Okay, Mike, if you're watching, I'm showing your face. Here we go. His name's Mike Stefani, so shout out to Mike.
Nice.
This guy in the middle here.
Mike,
this is wife Karen. This was at Tinley Park in Chicago at the reptile show a couple years ago. Yeah, I used to go up a couple times a year and I'd stay at their house.
Oh,
and
nice. Wow, look at that.
I look like I had chubby cheeks there. His dog always, because I slept on the couch.
Oh, how nice! That dog is so cute. He looks like a person. Like he has like a.
He always had that look. Like, are we on camera?
He's cute. He looks serious. Like,
are we on camera? Yeah. See, Julie knows. She says Mike's the best. He's one of my best friends ever. And
that's so nice. I love it. Oh,
this is one of his white throat monitors. This one's about 6 foot long.
Really?
Yep. God. I have a video of this one. Let's see if I have it here.
Whoa.
Why didn't I thought I could have swore I saved the video. You can see all my lizard pics here. I'm just trying to find the video because it really gives scale to everything when you see this particular animal.
Wow.
All right, where is it?
Super cool. Like you've had some experiences.
I used to go around. I used to give talks and lectures on monitor lizards and oops, getting close. I recognize some of these pictures here. See, I hate because I leave the numbers on them, so they're not labeled in any particular.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. It's like when we used to get them, you know.
Oh, if you're ever in Chicago, Giordano's, the absolute best pizza I've ever eaten in my entire life, and I've eaten a lot of pizza. Giordano's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I love deep dish Chicago pizza. Yum.
I mean, look at that thing, man. Come on.
Oh, look at that. That's crazy.
Julie, wasn't that the best pizza? That was just, to me, it was anyways. That was just like the best pizza ever.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, people, we're going off this. We're sidetracking a little bit here.
It's so good.
I need to find that video. Come on.
I know, right? I need to organize pictures. That's going to be a real. Julie said, delicious. I can imagine. Oh, making me hungry.
I don't see it readily. It's just kind of, that's sad because it's just.
Oh, it's hard. When you know it's right there, and you'll find it probably right after. Oh,
this was one of my animals.
He's cute. What's his name? I like him. He looks
Spinny was what Julie nicknamed him. Spinny.
I like that. Spinny. He's cute.
Varanus spinulosus is the Latin name. So Spinny.
Spinny. That's a good name.
The most ancient, prehistoric of monitor lizards. This one is probably genetically the oldest species.
Really? He's got a cute face. You know what I mean? He looks like the Geico gecko, a little cute.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he doesn't look sinister. Like he comes in peace. Oh, there's Mike. Hey, Mike. What's
Mike.
up?
He's holding a baby lace monitor. These get to be about 8 to 10 feet long as adults.
Whoa, really?
They are very restricted in the United States. You have to have a special permit to even keep them.
How big could they get to?
Here it is. I found it.
Oh.
Come on. Come out.
Look at this. Okay. Wow. That's crazy, y'all. Oh my goodness. That's
to give you an idea how big this enclosure is, we're both standing inside of it with her.
I can't. I've never seen anything like that. Yeah. It's like a fork. Oh my god, that's so. What is that?
Those are like baby quail. Speaking of quail, like they buy these eggs that aren't quite hatched, and some of them just have like little fetuses in them. Other ones have fully developed chicks in them. So it's a combination of feeding the quail chicks and mice and that kind of stuff. And
Give you food, you gotta come out.
It's like, no, I really don't want to work for it.
Oh.
You guys with Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, folks.
Really like in real time.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit here.
That thing is. Oh, this is the same one out.
That's the male. That's the male.
Well, I started with.
Oh my god, this is like the pit bull.
It's a breeding pair. This is the male that's on the ground here. The female is the one in the log.
It's up there in the 300 there.
Oh, okay. So he's like this size right here too. Oh my gosh! How long does it take for them to grow to this size?
When they're hatched, depending on the species, the bigger terrestrial species like these, they grow a foot a year up until they're about 6 years or 7 years of age-ish, and then they slow down, but they continue to grow their whole life. These are from like West Africa.
That's huge. Like that looks like a dog size, right? Is that the size of a dog?
Like this female here is probably about 40 pounds ish.
40 pounds.
That male's like probably about 20, 25 pounds, somewhere in there. Yes, Karen, they are super they're one of the most intelligent species on the planet. Now I could do a whole
like,
show
give
on
me an
those.
example, give us a little example of
They
their
have problem-solving intelligence. You know how, like in Jurassic Park, they portray the raptors as being super intelligent.
Yeah.
You remember the first Jurassic Park movie when they were talking about the raptors were systematically testing the electric fence for failures, like for to find an opening or whatever.
Yeah.
These animals do the same thing. Do you remember Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter?
Oh yeah.
We used to correspond by fax, because back then it was fax, like in the early 90s.
Really? How cool.
And so he would send me like all the monographs and stuff that he wrote, because they kept a lot of, as they call them, goannas in their park, not monitor lizards, but goannas.
Okay.
And he would tell me how intelligent these animals were. Like he relayed a story in Papua New Guinea. They have an animal called the Argus monitor, and they had a lot of, like in this particular, in Kakadu National Park, they have a lot of groundhogs or gophers or whatever, and they were digging all these holes all over the place. And it was one of the territories, because the big male monitor lizards have giant territories, like 10, 20 square miles. I mean, they're big territories. See, and Julie's going to get mad because people get me started on monitor lizards. I can sit there and talk for hours about monitor lizards. But in this particular park, like in the morning, monitor lizard would come out of its burrow, and they would lay its head out just enough so the sun would heat up their brain, like so their higher functions could start, like, because they're cold-blooded, so they need the sun to be active. So they would just lay their heads out in the morning when they were lethargic. We call it brain baking. So their higher functions would start. Then they'd eventually pull their whole body out, and then they would bask for a couple hours or however long. Then they'd go about their daily activity. And this particular male monitor lizard, this Argus monitor, its burrow was up a little bit on a hill, so it could overlook this lower area where all these gophers were that were digging all these holes and stuff. And these gophers, so the monitor would come down early afternoon and start foraging, and it would check out the holes, the gopher holes and stuff like that. But all the gophers would tease the animal, like they would trick it, like they would try to get it to go down a hole, and then they would pop up in another hole, kind of thing, like a whack-a-mole kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So, and monitor lizards don't necessarily have emotions like people do. So it would go about its business, and it would go hunt and do whatever, and then it would come back to its burrow, bask a little more, and then go back into its burrow for the evening. But it would always have time. It would sit there and it would watch these gophers all day long. When it wasn't out foraging, it would watch these gophers. Really? So Steve told me, he's like, "You're gonna love this." He goes, one day, it was like 2 weeks later, one day, this animal, after it brain baked and basked for a while, it went to a particular spot in the valley, and all the gophers were teasing it and stuff like that. It literally dug a hole. It dug a hole in a seemingly random spot in the middle of this little area. It figured out the pattern that these gophers were going in and out of these holes. So it found a tunnel. It dug a hole that intersected this tunnel, and it trapped these gophers in this tunnel, and it was able to capture one of them. And because it came out of that hole with one of the gophers.
Really?
So it figured out what was going on, and then made a plan and executed it.
That's pretty crazy. Like, what? Premeditation.
So yes, these guys are super intelligent. So I was trying to get her to come out farther, so I was holding the food farther and farther away so she'd come out, and
so
eventually,
when you pick them up, they don't mind you picking them up. Are they cold to the touch?
Okay, here's the thing. Just like other animals or people, everyone has its own personality. Like it has its own temperament, its own personality.
Right.
And pretty much in the hobby today, most people are not getting wild caught imports. They're bred in captivity. So animals that are bred in captivity over a couple generations seem to have a better temperament overall, especially if you get them when they're just hatched. Like if you've had them since babies and you interact with them.
Oh, okay.
Here's the problem with people that keep reptiles that always get in trouble and make everybody look bad is the only interaction they have with these big snakes, like these pythons or these alligators or these big monitor lizards, is when they feed them. They don't interact any other time. So the monitor lizard or the snake or the alligator or whatever always associates that person coming into view or seeing that person with food.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they always end up getting bit or end up getting whatever, because they don't know any difference with that person. See, like Mike and I, we always spent time every day with these animals.
I see.
And the more you handle them as babies, the calmer they get. As they get older. And these two are that kind of a pair. Like I could literally, even while feeding, I could literally go over there and I could pull her out of there and place her somewhere else. You know, she knows the difference because we're part of her tribe, her family, her whatever you want to call it.
In there.
Are they delicate? Like they're tough, or like you have to be really careful when you handle them?
No, they're not delicate. Some of the smaller species, because they range in size from, a few ounces, and like this big. And the biggest species weighing over 200 pounds and 8 to 10 feet long. It's like the Komodo dragon, for example, is the heaviest bodied monitor lizard that's found in Indonesia.
Okay.
They're suited for their environment. So like terrestrial monitor lizards have keeled scales, which means they have little points. Like if you look at their scales, they come to a little point like this on the top. Right. It helps them when they burrow and that kind of stuff, for the dirt and stuff to stick to their backs and their burrows to keep them cool during the hottest times of the day and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Then you have riparian type monitor lizards that live near lakes or bodies of water or rivers, that kind of thing, that have, different kinds of scales. She's like, okay, better show you a picture now and wrap it up.
Oh gosh,
geez.
it's o'clock at night. Yo.
When you get your own show, you can wrap it up whenever you want.
I didn't realize it was so late. Komodo. I didn't know.
But this is the last thing we'll talk about. And it's just, so to answer your question, generally, no, they're not frail. Like as you can see, Mike's picking her up.
Wow, look at that.
Placing her up there, and she's a little fatty,
Yeah, she's cute. I like her. Like I never even thought. I just have to get used to it. They're really.
Well, that's just an egg. So she likes eggs.
Oh really? Eggs from like? Oh yeah,
those are quail eggs.
Quail eggs. Oh, that's.
But once we got her out up there, she had room to eat. She was like a garbage truck right there. She just was literally eating everything you put in front of her. And so.
Oh my goodness. She does look like she's a
eater.
Yeah,
she's like, okay, I'm on a roll. But
oh my goodness, that's amazing. I've never. Wow.
So there you go.
Boy, that's fascinating.
This is one of his other animals. This is from the Philippines. This is a semi-aquatic monitor, Varanus coming eye. Very beautiful.
Yeah,
so he does amazing work with these animals, and
I can tell. That's fascinating.
So Karen, to the alligator thing and all that stuff, some of these people should not be keeping animals, let alone whatever. Samson and Delilah. What's a Samson and Delilah? Oh, my mom had turtles, and their name was Samson and Delilah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Turtles are cute. Oh.
Well, back in the day, you could go to like Woolworths. Do you remember Woolworths?
Yeah, I remember Woolworths. Oh, yeah.
Woolworths, you could buy them little turtle habitats, those little plastic things with the palm tree in the middle, or you could buy little painted turtles. Yeah. And actually, at Woolworths, I think you could even buy baby alligators as well. And that's where the whole New York, sewer thing started.
Right. The Ninja Turtles, turtle on the head. go.
That's right. I forgot about the digitals. Yes. Yep. So anyway, if you get a chance, watch. Jennifer's been putting out a lot of videos. I know that's unusual.
Crazy.
But she's been putting out some cool stuff, like with the kombucha and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Gonna have some ready soon. Wednesday, I think, or tomorrow. I think my water kefir will be first batch. So it's starting to happen. Not as long. My first experimental activation didn't work out. So it's kind of like chemistry class. So now we're on a roll.
And the way you title things is kind of interesting too. I like that. Jenny the John.
Silly.
What is Jenny? What is the John? I see you've used John a few times.
Oh, it's a Philadelphia term. It's a catch-all word. It can mean anything, and it's originally just coined in Philly, so people know like that. This is a Philly term, so this just.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So you've got Scooby Ooby Ooby or Scoby Ooby Ooby.
Right.
The Buka Muva brew. Water, is that kefir? Kefir? How do you pronounce
Yeah,
that?
you could say it however you want. Like it depends. If you want to say a kefir, I say kefir. Like Kiefer Sutherland. Remember Kiefer Sutherland?
Yes. So if you get a chance, go over her channel, give her a subscribe, and watch her videos. They're not your like regular YouTube videos. Like they're real, they're down to earth, they're on subjects that you probably will never hear about anywhere else. And yes, Karen, Komodo dragon ain't no joke. That's for sure.
Definitely.
To put it in perspective,
wow.
You know how big Indonesians are. They're not giants. You know, they're like a giant is 5 foot in Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
A Komodo dragon can go an entire year or longer without eating anything. But when it does eat, it can eat its entire body weight at one sitting. And so they're again smart. They know where the game trails are, like where the deer and stuff go through, and they wait. They'll ambush. They won't bring it down. They'll bite it in the ankle or something, and then the venom and the bacteria in their mouths causes such a bad infection. They end up dying. They actually will follow it until it dies. You know, even if it takes a week for it to die, they'll end up just following it. And then they come from everywhere, and they eat at their leisure. But they literally, 180-pound Komodo could literally eat 180 pounds worth of whatever, you know. And
wow. No, I did not know that. That is no joke, is right.
But that is an exception in the whole monitor lizard deal. Okay. So just keep that in mind, and you probably will not ever encounter one. So
that's good. Not.
But anyway.
Okay.
You guys have been wonderful, Karen and everybody else. Daryl, I don't know if Daryl's new, but Daryl, welcome.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else did we have today? Lady Knievel.
Yes, Lady Knievel.
Karen, Lady Knievel. Come on, there's got to be more. I know there's more.
Yeah, there's
Casey Donna Hodges.
Yeah, yes. Casey Daryl. Hey, Daryl. And yes,
Joanne was here.
Yeah, Joanne. Hey, Joanne.
So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Love the support. Jennifer and I are going to do a coordinated show one of these days, and we're going to do it on the American pyramids because I think that came up earlier.
That will be great. Yeah. And then we have to get Girl Code. We've got to get Girl Code over here. She's been having a little more time, so we've been seeing her pop up. So she's just, I think, had a new schedule and everything, but that'd be really great to do something.
Invite her. She has an open invitation, so whenever she wants to come on, just bring her on.
Okay, it's just working out the timing. That's all, because I've been trying to work with her to do. We have overdue something to do because people are asking for her. They miss her so much. So whenever I'll let her know. But thanks everybody. Love you all.
Yes, thank you for the support. And like I said, follow Jennifer. We're going to keep this format for now, but we will have a couple shows where, like the American pyramids, and there's something else we talked about. I have to go back and re-listen, but something else that came up that could be it's just a show on its own. So I'll put it in the notes if I think about it. But if you have any questions whatsoever, any suggestions, please put them in the comments. I don't know why people are. It seems like people are afraid to comment on stuff. I mean, I just, it's like I beg people for input. Comments, input. Just put them out there.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah. Feedback.
They ain't gonna kill you. Remember, you can be like that little smoking kid with his little phone and everything. Just you can be cool like him. So anyway, Jennifer's got some figs to work on and some other stuff. So until next week, you guys have been awesome. Love you guys, and just be safe, be happy. Don't worry. As whatever that guy, the musician, don't worry, be happy. What was his name?
McFadden. Something.
There you go.
Bobby McFadden.
Bobby, yes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, don't worry, be happy.
Yes.
We're laughing, we're having fun, we're gonna get through this, and it's gonna be this clown world's gonna be in the rearview mirror pretty soon. So all right, guys, let's see. Karen, blunts up, girl. I had to throw that in there at some point. So.
That's so funny, John. John, you can't make me start laughing again. Stop it.
If you're part of Jennifer's chat and their videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll see it eventually.
What a crazy place you are. Come by.
Yes, go by the chatmosphere. You'll enjoy it. You can sit in the back of the class.
Yes,
if you don't want to.
You can sit.
You don't have to be up front.
Observe, okay. Be safe and in the distant. It will. Yes, we'll be there.
All right, guys. All right, okay. Jennifer, have a wonderful evening, and I'm sure I'll talk to you.
Yes, yes, indeed. Take care. See you.
Take care, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.